diamond. So keep climbing all the way up, that's where you'll find me. Right next to the legends, I go off my brethren, said goodbye to the old me. I'ma make sure.
Welcome back, everybody, to our final series of the week here between GAM Esports and Team Wales. GAM Esports, our first team, obviously, to have qualified for playoffs, which is a wild thing. Only even less than 5 weeks in, they're already qualified, basically at the beginning of this week when they were able to finish things up. And Wales putting together a solid performance. I didn't know where I actually expected Wales to kind of finish up as the split went on, but the addition of B, obviously the team's been performing at a pretty high level, likely in for a pretty awesome series, right, Yulway?
Yeah, we should be. This series was probably the most hyped 1v1 in terms of teams coming into the league, because everyone was so hyped about this Wales lineup, and everyone looked at the B move, especially with a little bit of a grudge match between Wales and GAM. So this one, I'd say it's not quite as hyped as the first iteration of this one in round number 1, where it was an insanely close series, and I'm hoping that we are going to get anything close to that, because that was awesome. But yeah, at this point, GAM is 4 series ahead of them. They've firmly established themselves as number 1 team again. They're 9-0 right now, plus 13 in game difference. Wales is sitting at 5-4, still comfortably in the positions to make playoffs, but they've struggled a bit the last few weeks. So they need to come back, and it would be with a bang if they were able to actually win against GAM. That would be such a boon for their playoff chances too, because just as losing to MBE is the cardinal sin, winning against GAM is something no other team would be able to replicate, so you get a free point over everyone. You might have muted yourself, and...
Did I? Yeah, I think I did. My apologies. Making sure that was the case. Yeah. So with some of the wins that have come about from Team Wales earlier on in the split, thankfully they have like 1-1s in circumstances against like SBTCE. They're like 1-1 against them. I don't know that they played Saigon Buffalo a second time, but I'm pretty sure they're still have that on the docket a little bit later on in the split as well. So with some of the tiebreakers, like you said, having an unrespondable game from some of the other teams that they're never going to be able to match is going to be massive for taking a step into playoffs. And they were super close the first time. So we're hoping that Team Wales is going to be able to match what they were able to accomplish. If you're GAM, I feel like we always ask this question in the split because it always needs to be asked, because they've already locked playoffs. They're the number 1 team. They're the favorite to win the split. What do they do with their time? Like, what do they actually have to do with the rest of the split? Obviously, you want to keep number 1 seed. You don't want to be down that bad. But like, what are you actually trying to push for now that you don't have any real like super long standing like things to actually fight for now?
Yeah, I think as long as number 1 is still slightly contentious, though they're already 2 series ahead of Cerberus, who is struggling in the recent weeks, it is technically still possible to overtake them at number 1 seed. So right now they can focus their attention to securing that number 1 position, securing the best possible position into playoffs. But once that's accomplished, it's really about, do we go for records? Do we go for fun little, maybe even... special compositions that no one likes to play other than them? I don't know. GAM has historically been not the biggest proponent of those. There was a big drama in 2019 about those kind of compositions, but I feel like GAM as a team now, we've seen so many times where they've been dominant. They don't really slow down. They're not really the team to slow down significantly and play, I don't know, weird compositions or weird champions, or to swap their players around. So I don't really expect to see it from them. I think they're probably the most mature team in our league. They have so many long-standing players. What I do think could happen is a little bit more playtime for Playcool, because he did play really well the last time they played him. They played him both in mid lane and ADC, actually. And he is part of the record-breaking game against MBE. So maybe we see a little bit more Playcool. I don't expect them to troll or play some weird compositions, but I do think they could experiment with their roster.
And we should talk a little bit about Playcool, because I think when we go back to ASE, which is a team that ended up falling out and not being able to return to VCS, and that was a team that had really strange set of players, because they had 2T, which is somebody that was also ex-GAM. LLT was, I think, solid, but kind of meh. Easy Love was like around. And then there was Zin.
Also ex-GAM?
Like, okay, like this is also ex-GAM. Yeah, also ex-GAM. So they had all these players. And Null, I think, also was on GAM, who was their coach, which was wild to me. And then who was it that stood out on the team? Because you had Uji on that team, who was an absolute beast. Playcool was also a really good player. Like if it were not for Uji and they had gone like 1-13, or whatever, like Play Cool probably would have been the hero for that squad. So Play Cool getting a spot on GAM I thought was really, really neat because it's like, okay, he was with a bunch of GAM players and then GAM's like, oh, wow, he's talented. Let's get him. And Uji, of course, not in this split for a number of reasons, but there's a reason why he's around. I think it would be cool because Kadi has always been on this weird like pivot of like, Kadi's really, really good, and Kadi kind of sucks, and Kadi's pretty good again, and Kadi kind of sucks. So having somebody that could potentially push him to be better is already going to be sufficient, or maybe they just find their mid laner for the future and play cool.
Yeah, I feel like with mid lane in VCS being by far the weakest position, you should always have a little bit of a thought, especially if you look at international competition, as we head into draft right now. Because GAM at this point, they have won so many titles in the VCS. VCS titles are nice, but they really want to accomplish something on the international stage, right? Kiaya, Levi, Kati, they don't want to go end their careers without ever having accomplished anything internationally. So really, it's time to look at solutions for this mid lane problem. And I don't think Kati has been that huge of an issue internationally, but maybe also not the biggest solution. So Play Cool, maybe coming in with an alternative playstyle could be something. Of course, we're back to the standard roster now, though. Style is back in, Party in mid lane, so let's bench the discussion, or table the discussion on Play Cool for later. Maybe they play him later on, but for now, it's business, and it's first pick Kevin for GAM.
I mean, given the fact that Wales is a legitimate contender for even the title at this point, to be quite honest, they're still within striking range of that if they were able to win this game. I would not find it ridiculous that GAM is paying full respect, which is, again, we talk about mature teams. GAM is not the team that's going to come out and disrespect you most of the time. There are teams that will do that. This is not one of them. So playing respect, saying, okay, Play Cool is very talented, but we're going to stick with the roster that we know is going to be absolutely insane. And I think that's a worthwhile endeavor for this squad. Now, the fun part, Kennen is super strong. This is the one person I'm like blinded, 100%. Kiaya bullied with this champion before it was cool. Now the champion's strong as heck. Keep it around forever. 100%. I'm down with this GAM. I don't care who it is that they're taking on the other side. It is not going to match what the Kennen is going to have. I wish that Nagia had a response to this because I would love to see what it is, but I guarantee you it's going to be something blanket and not going to be something that's going to be able to punish the champion that well.
We also see another very high priority on Veigar, which is also a flex pick here because Style is the one ADC player who can play all the mages. He's an amazing Ziggs player. He has already shown us the Veigar as well, so I'm actually very hesitant to call this a mid lane Veigar. I think they have a lot of flexibility in their drafting. And also, it's once again Kennen Veigar, so we need to see the Venn diagrams working in better coordination than the last time, because Cerberus actually kind of messed up how to play this team composition. Kennen was on one side of the fight and Veigar was on the other side. I think I want to see GAM playing both of the big doom circles at the same position.
Look at this guy. Look at B. Who's he think he is? Sora or something? Picking Blitzcrank? What is this guy? This is a joke right now. With Kennen and Veigar. So Kennen's rough to pull sometimes, although if you're Blitzcrank, you can always position outside of a fight. More importantly is the Veigar, because if Veigar throws up cage, you're like, I'm pretty safe, and then Blitzcrank pulls you through your own cage, and you're like, oh, right, I could just get pulled into the rest of the team. So you have to be a little bit careful if you're one of those two. Rakan as well has some tough times with Blitzcrank because you get silenced on your way out. It's difficult to make the escape, the double CC. All these things. I like the pick for B. Again, he's not Sora or anything like that. That's obviously a meme because Sora played this to really solid avail a couple days ago. Considered him to be the best Blitzcrank player, but I think B is definitely somebody who's going to push for that. And again, I love the position they put themselves in for that pick to work out.
Yeah, and B has shown us some Blitzcrank games over the course of his career. He likes to be the sneaky Blitzcrank player. It's actually pretty high priority for historic comparisons. Like, Blitzcrank has never been in a state where he was seen almost every other game, but nowadays he's actually seen many times. I mean, yeah, 2012, 2013, okay, but I mean, in modern days, it's more of a one-off pick. We see a lot of Blitzcrank now, and that's a Cho'Gath for you.
We do get our Cho'Gath, finally. Probably top lane for Nagia, and yes, I don't know how well it's going to fare into Kennen. Kennen's really nimble, really difficult to hit with skill shots sometimes, but it is going to be at least something to hang your hat on that they do have a Cho'Gath. And with all these squishy members, you think about, like, again, Veigar gets a bunch of health, but is executable. Same with Kennen in that regard. You have a Blitzcrank, you just pull any one of these members, and then immediately you get chain CC'd by the Cho'Gath, and you end up just dying. As it's a VCS special, we get a Nocturne now. That's what we like to see. All right, interesting. We picked a couple times. I don't think it had much of it. I think we talked about it. I think it was one of the two teams. I think it was Boxy Sports who played it earlier on this season. And it would be a really filthy combination with the Sivir to just throw everybody in at once.
They're still debating the ADC pick. It seems to be styled Zeri. It's a well-established pick. He's a good Zeri player. This composition does feel a little bit disjointed, in my opinion, from GAM. They're the one team I trust making any team composition work, but I do see some mismanagement in the team fights with Veigar just lacking behind all the other champions, just screaming at them not to run so fast because he can't join them. But there's the Gragas last pick. Gragas, really bad win rate, as you can see in the VCS, but still a good champion, of course. And the red team composition is coming together. It's red side and full red comp. I think that gets bonus points, right?
I think so, yeah. That gets bonus points from us, at least, because we are big aficionados of being able to match a color to your side. In fact, there's a couple of blue champions. They did an okay job. The Rakan is a little bit of a ruining here for the side of GAM, but otherwise they stuck with primarily cool colors. I was upset because I saw the Zed. I think they played in LEC. Somebody played in LEC
of course,
the other day, which was solid, but didn't end up actually mattering because I think it got clowned a little bit. Didn't end up working out all super well.
They did win the game. They did win the game.
They did win it. Yeah, but his Zed was it wasn't with the pop-off that you wanted. I was hoping to see it maybe a little bit here, but Glory is also not the Zed player. Glory is the Orianna player, so not shocking to see that he goes to something more control-heavy like the Gragas in this one. And there was nothing, like, insane about these two compositions, at least in my mind. Obviously, GAM's is a lot more exciting with like the Nocturne. You had the famous game from Levi where he popped off on the Nocturne as well. But on the opposite side, it was all standard business from the side of Wales. They're not here to play around. They are here to win games with all of the standard meta picks and nothing crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a serious game, especially for the side of Wales. If they were able to win this series, they would go to 6-3, which is 6-4 actually, and that would put them so far ahead of all the contenders, especially the likes of Saigon Buffalo, who are right now just scrambling for any win they can get, and they're on only 4 victories right now. So getting to 6 is step number 1 to get to the playoffs. We just talked about MBE, of course, as we head into game, and not being the free series they used to be, but you're still favored over there, so that's still a series to come for Wales. So they would be in an amazing position if they could take that win streak away from GAM.
And importantly, if we're going to talk grand scope, if we're referring to like Team Wales, SPTC, and Saigon Buffalo, SPTC next week they play Saigon Buffalo, and then they also play Team Flash, and they play. I believe they play Box. So next week, SPTC is very, very well slated for potential 3 wins. Then they finish out with GAM and Cerberus, which isn't great for SPTC, but next week they could take a very commanding lead. Wales doesn't have the easiest of schedules. They have Cerberus next week, and then they walk into the final week.
Wait.
What's up?
One short interruption because I just saw Cannon runes. He went for attack speed runes and Conqueror. Could this be split pushing AD Cannon?
I don't think it's AD Cannon, but it is almost certainly Riftmaker.
Yeah.
Almost certainly. There's almost no way it's not Riftmaker in this particular case. And I've actually seen Nasters with this build, which is kind of awesome, especially with the reworked Nasters. So that is it would be cool. It's a little callback to the old on-hit Cannon. Believe it or not, actually, it was Reckless got me playing Cannon because I saw him play it at ADC. And then I played it with like my friends a bunch, and they always harassed me for playing it. And then it got picked at Worlds, and then I felt a little bit redeemed because I was like, oh yeah, like obviously like that's what happened. So I'm always down for the AD Cannon. It's probably not the case. It's just gonna be Riftmaker. It's not gonna be anything crazy like a Blade of the Rune King, or most likely it could be. Yeah, it could shock us here, but.
And we do have the famous couple of Xayah and Rakan broken up in this game. Who's gonna get the better of the breakup? We're gonna see that usually it's slightly Xayah favored in my opinion, because she doesn't really get that many buffs from Rakan, while Rakan gets the W buff from Xayah over there. Also, Zeri into Xayah is always a little bit of a struggle. Later on, she might, at level 6, she might have an opportunity to run Xayah down, but usually wave control is just always in favor of the Xayah. She has so many unbelievable wave control tools, so it's going to be a little bit of a struggle for the side of GAM bot lane. For now, they're fine to just scale.
Yes. Is this an easy mid lane? Like, I feel like this is not a fun mid lane for Gragas. Gragas is relatively low range, and I know that he does have the Q to be able to harass with pretty effectively. And again, if you find little engages like this, then obviously you're gonna be feeling good if you're Glory. But long term, like, is there really an opportunity for Gragas to do anything into the Vygar? Because you've got the cage and you've got like all your wave clear. You're mostly sitting like set on just kind of sitting there doing nothing most of the laning phase anyway. Like, is Gragas the champion that punishes this?
Yeah, I feel like it's all about mind games. We just saw actually how Glory played the traits there, where it looked like he was going to go for an E, but then he didn't go for the E, and that forced the cage out of Carti. So it's all about using the 2 E abilities, the cage against the body slam, and whoever pulls the trigger first probably loses. The body slam flash could actually kind of circumvent that from happening, but I feel like I agree with you. The longer the game goes, the more tanky the Vygar especially gets, and the farther away he gets from getting one shot, or the one shot potential for Gragas being a possibility, the harder it's going to be for the Gragas to find anything meaningful in this mid lane matchup. I kind of expect him to just abandon mid lane at a certain point, just let Vygar farm his up and go maybe towards top lane, maybe towards bot lane. There's some targets you could look for.
Okay, so for a second there, I was wondering if there was going to be some shenanigans on the map, because GAM, or like Levi had matched the pathing of Killer Queen. They both ended up on top side, and Levi got the Scuttle Crab first. Now, actually, Killer Queen had push in mid and in bot, and so there's no shenanigans to be had. Instead, Levi just goes back to full farming the jungle, but does get a little bit of a clear speed kind of buff over top of Killer Queen, because he had to step into the bottom side to grab that Scuttle Crab up. And there's also going to be this bounce back of like mid wave should bounce back to the middle. You can see there's a bit of a stack coming through from Kadi. Bottom lane, you're going to get a little bit of a shove as well. Should buy a back timer for them, so it's a little harder to gank if Killer Queen wanted to wrap there right now. So I'm looking at top lane and I'm like, hey, Kiaya, you got a Nocturne that's going to be sprinting up there faster than the Vi will, almost certainly. Let's make something happen. Like, let's see what we can do. Let's try to get this Cho'Gath punished, especially if the wave ends up getting shoved. Kiaya's got it in a perfect place right now for Levi to be able to punish in the right circumstance. This
is so scary for Naki, because not only is that a case, but Kiaya is also close to 6, so once that comes in, this Cho'Gath is not that tanky. Look at his HP bar. He needs some time to actually get some HP. At the moment, he's more of an AP carry, actually, so he needs to be super careful not to get caught by the cannon, and Kiaya now can establish a freeze that can last forever, because the Cho'Gath is one of the champions that kind of auto-pushes the wave all the time, right? Yeah. You can't really do anything else on the Cho'Gath. Every single skill you have is AoE. You can't really aim W or Q to just last it a single minion. So this Cho'Gath is going to be automatically pushing into Kiaya again, so it's all about wave control and how well Kiaya can set up his wave for success. He could really shut out Nagia from this game.
Okay, so the instant TP back to top lane alongside that the Leeching Leer, which is pretty cool. That means it is going to be the Rift Maker. That Levi is on top side, stealing some camps. It's a good ultimate to get out of the event horizon. Well played from Kadi to try to get away. Exhaust is going to go down. He is not going to be able to clean.
Oh!
Glory! What are we doing?
No, he missed.
And he misses by a mile. Not even close, baby. I think actually he could have popped it potentially and maybe done a little bit of damage, but not enough to kill Kadi. So he was trying to
No way.
Oh, he's underneath the tower. He's gonna get first blood, gonna get feared to the event horizon. He's gonna give kill over to Levi. Zin, don't you take that. Okay, where Zin was gonna try to grab it or something like that, but instead kill over to the Nocturne in exchange for first blood. Glory, that's some level of bloodthirst I don't think I've ever seen out of Glory before in my entire career.
That was crazy. I mean, he wanted to make up for his own mistake. He gets the first blood, so it's actually worth it. And I do have to flame Zin here, because Zin went there with his E just to get an assist. But it was an assisted kill already, so the kill, the assist gold now was split between Vygar and Rakan. Instead of just going to Vygar alone, it's a very small interaction, but still, that was really unnecessary from Zin. He could have given the 150 gold over to his mid lane instead of stealing half of that away. The combo is really, really nice. I like this interaction. It's almost impossible for Kati to do anything. And then we avert our eyes here. Don't look at the screen.
It
just
absolutely,
wait a few seconds.
Yeah,
just don't look.
Did.
Yeah, and now we can look again.
Did. Yes.
Because Laurie makes up. He makes up for the mistake. It kind of just styles on Levi. Levi tried to bodyguard it. He just flashes right on top of Levi and gets the kill on Kati.
Yes. Now, there is the question of how valuable is this first blood on Gragas versus the kill that goes over to Nocturne immediately afterwards, which when I'm counting those cards, I'm saying that the Nocturne kill probably ends up being more valuable than the kill that the Gragas got. But Glory actually, I thought, showed off quite a bit of expertise on this Gragas pick, not only being able to get Kadi out of the event horizon without himself taking the stun, but then also afterwards being able to get around Levi and sneak in for that first blood. It showed that Gragas is definitely a potential point of mastery here for Glory, as he's been working on the champion at least a little bit. So you can appreciate that maybe that level of expertise is going to come in. Gold is not crazy between the two either. That first blood gold ends up not meaning that much as they're down 300-400, but Glory is feeling fine in this position now.
And every time I look at top lane, it looks so doomed for Nagi, but I actually need to commend him, because look at the CS count. He is farming so well with his Qs and just staying on even CS against Kiaya, who's playing the wave, just trying to harass Nagi out of lane, but it's Cho'Gath. He gets so much sustain now, especially with his first step towards either... I mean, the Catalyst of Eons used to be called. I'm not actually sure what it's called now, but he could either go into AP route, or he could just go early MR, build something something that helps him in the matchup against Kiaya. I'm not entirely sure where he's going to go. This is risky. Kiaya's pretty squishy. Let's go.
Okay, bit of a jump in. Now Levi's going to be able to help find a bunch of damage down. That event horizon was helpful for kind of sticking in. Now Kiaya on the other side is going to get traded off, as the Gia is going to be able to get a nice stack on the Cho'Gath. There are enough reinforcements both sides. It looks like Team Wales says, I don't think that we can actually take this. They're going to go back in now? Okay, they're going back in. They got some cooldowns back. Levi is level 7. Nagi is level 8. It's support and jungle versus jungle.
Levi doesn't have ultimate
That's
now.
a pretty big play. Levi has to flash, get out of the event horizon to make sure that Kadi doesn't stun him up, as that's 3 members very low, but they are cleaning up effectively. Did they get anything else? Zin is able to help play one back.
Oh!
Wales
Wait, what?
makes it work. And now Rift Herald is potentially on the... Okay, yeah, not going to be stolen by Zin by any capacity whatsoever. Killer Queen able to clean that one up with the eye and the spite on the backside of that one. Team Wales coming out with a big win against GAM.
Yeah, coming to life and actually winning both objectives on both sides of the map. They started with the Dragon and now they get the Rift Herald too. This was so crazy from both sides. They focused the Gragas, who of course is very tanky, but they have so much CC between the 3 players that they do manage to one-shot the Gragas. On the other side though, I talked about Kiaya being squishy, and those 2 champions can make quick work of the cannon. He's not strong enough. He didn't flash even because he was silenced. And this is where it gets...
Why did they do this?
Yeah, this is where it gets really confusing, because Levi doesn't have his ultimate, so he's not actually that great of a champion, and it all looks so scattered, and
that's gorgeous.
It's very, very hard to say who's winning, but in the end, the Viger's cooldowns in this game aren't short enough to really make it work. So in the end, Team Wales win on this side of the map too, and are off to a decent start.
And tons of props over to B, because B's exhaust, I think, did nuke a decent amount of the damage that Kadi was going to put out, because I think it was a Q and a W and the Primordial Burst that were all denied from Kadi at full damage because of the exhaust that got dropped by B. So that made a difference, almost certainly, inside of that fight, because there were 2 members that were low enough that, like, if the Primordial Burst had outright killed Killer Queen or something like that, maybe they turn that. Maybe they still are able to kind of take the support versus mid-fight. Maybe you've got enough damage to clean up 2 and maybe at least make it a 2 for 2. And instead, it probably would have reset the Rift Herald as well, unless B decided to stick around and kind of kill it himself. But honestly, it was super close. So again, B clutching up when the time comes to be able to be up here on the top side, roam support. And now Dragon, Rift Herald, second Dragon of the game over to Wales as the topside dive comes in.
This is
for
risky.
The side
This
of GAM.
is so
TP's
risky.
going to deny it a little bit, and Glory's here to trade at least 1 back. Now he wants to try to get Kiaya. Kiaya is not taking tower aggro, however, and Glory fancies his chances inside the one-on-one. He's going to be able to get a Q, decent amount of damage. Stun comes up from Kiaya. He has Conqueror stack. You do have to be a little bit careful. He's going to keep running.
Okay, Glory.
He flashes. He's going to be able to keep going. He's going to find another
got
big
it?
play. Kiaya.
Wait.
He's going to heal just enough. The stun comes through. Kiaya gets something else. He's not. He didn't have vision. He wasn't able to clean things up, and Glory finds a second kill. Now Kadi denies Killer Queen's ultimate. He's probably going to go down in the mid lane now, as that's going to be Killer Queen who lost the ultimate. When he finds it, he gets the kill. Wales all day long.
Wales is coming to life. They're just outplaying GAM on map and in mechanics. Everything is going in Wales' way, and what an amazing performance from their top side. Not to flame their bot side or anything, their bot side is just not really participating in this game, but they are just finding the counter picks, and Glory, he knows the limits of Gragas so insanely well. This looked unbelievably risky from him. The Conqueror stack, as he pointed out in the play already, Kiaya, it does not look like a winning play to me for Glory. He flashes over the wall into Kiaya, And then this is also insanely close. Kiaya needs one more Q or auto attack. He tries to run away. But this time, Glory makes sure the Q is gonna land.
And then right here, Kadi greeds for the plate right there, and yes, denies Killer Queen's ultimate, does shut down that cooldown, but it's Vi, man, like, you're not getting away. Although I do appreciate he was trying to make some sort of shiftiness happen. Probably should have just made it, but what do you do? Like, what do you do? And Team Wales jumps up to a 500 gold lead, which is insane to think about, because in any other game, it feels like this advantage would probably have netted you 3k, and yet up against GAM, they're only up 500 gold, and the 2 dragons. You'll give them the 2 dragons too, which just speaks to the level that GAM is able to play at. You still have to keep this level of execution, but notice Abyssal Mask completed for Nagia. Yep. You've got Black Cleaver already done for Killer Queen. You've got Rod of Ages done for your Gragas. You're feeling great. I love the Abyssal Mask, by the way. I think it's a dramatically underrated item on every champion in the game, and it should be built more. So Nagia in this magic matchup in the top side where he's dealing a bunch of magic damage is going to feel great against the cannon.
Yeah, there's so much hidden magic damage as well, right? Not only is there Gragas to follow up the magic damage, the Cho deals magic with everything as well, so it's gonna amp his own damage, and then also, actually, the considerable damage of Blitzcrank. His ultimate is an AoE ability. You don't really think about it too much. Oh, Kiaya needs to be careful. I think he found the time to run away, though. So this is gonna amp all the damage of his teammates. I really like this first item as well. It makes it so much easier for him to play the laning phase as well. He's just scaling very happily in this game. Already got one extra stack from the kill on Kiaya early on. So he's at least looking at 7 stacks in the mid game, which is quite tanky already.
Yes. This is probably going to be first tower, though, which is a very strange fumble from the side of Team Wales that they are just giving this over to the Zeri, because Style should be perfectly fine. They're going to go for a counter dive. Nice ultimate from Kiaya, trying to keep this stunned up. That's a good silence, as B just gives a drive-by right there. And it's a kill with 4 members in exchange for a solo tower on bot side to the ADC. Wales, I've been your #1 fan here for a couple of minutes, loving the fact that you're beating GAM. That was not it, Chief. I'm sorry to say. Like, that was, and they're gonna get punished on the backside because everybody is back, which means that Glory's gonna be stuck on his lonesome. Zin is here with the Rakan to be able to
damage to kill him
up. He's dead. Yeah. Like, he just dies on the backside. So they trade no plates, just a little bit of top tower gold because the plates were already down, and a kill over for and a bottom tower solo gold into Style for 1 kill. Not worth.
And this now makes me really curious about the shot calling. I need someone to translate some comms, because this was always what people associated with B, these kind of plays for GAM, where he showed up on the other side of the map and created advantages against the run of play. He was praised for being their shot caller last year by all the GAM members. Hanke sang his praises, but now GAM is still doing this without B against the B team, so he should be the first one to be aware of this. Now I'm getting really curious as to if it was really B calling those shots, or if it's more of a Levi Kiaya kind of thing. Of course, it's all conjecture. Don't take it too seriously, but I'm just really curious.
Okay, Style is gooning right now as he stepped up to try to hit some tower, and Nagia just decided to run at him because he's like, I am Cho'Gath. What are you going to do about it? Does end up getting out, thankfully, as there wasn't a second person to follow up. The turret doesn't go down either. But Style has been given some free reign in this game to do more than I would have ever thought a Zeri capable of. Is Kadi going to get auto-attacked to death? Nothing to talk about there. They're going to break mid-tower with Rift Herald easy enough. Funny little interaction there. You canceled the Q dash with the activation of the Rift Herald, as you could say. It was Killer Queen stopping in place there for a second as soon as the Q was done. They do trade mid tower for top tower, which means that, again, Style collects yet another big win condition for the squad. Maybe that's the play. Maybe GAM's just like, hey, if we just juice up Style enough, it's not going to matter how good the Team Wales is playing in this game. They're just going to lose anyways. An ultimate gets popped. Kennen pops the ultimate as well. Kiaya has not been having a fun game today, just getting bullied by everybody around him as much as possible. Levi's going to deny Killer Queen access from anything else, and he's going to buy it back for his top laner, or his 2 bot laners up on the top side. But it should be that's a dragon and a tower. Like, Wales, what?
Yeah, they're just running this game. GAM is looking completely out of sorts, and I feel like we have to criticize their draft again. We haven't seen this Veigar early pick working too well, even though the win rate in the VCS in general is quite good. I think it's mostly through counter picks and late picks, where it punishes the whole composition. Today is just a really good day to study how to punish Veigar. I feel like both teams so far today have really shown us, if you early gank the Veigar and if you try to shut him out of the game, he can't really escape. He's a very immobile champion, and you can counterplay, you can circumvent his cage, especially the arm the frames where it's not armed yet, and they're making use of that over and over again. 1-4 now on Carti. And another champion that's not working out so far is that Nocturne. Levi might be famous for the Nocturne, but Nocturne is not in the greatest states of he has ever been in, and all the Nocturnes we've seen in the VCS have kind of looked completely like toothless, or almost like no impact whatsoever. Ultimate looking kind of useless. Yes, he got the kill in the top lane, but that was just chasing down a straggler that forgot to recall. So I need to see more of this Nocturne.
Okay. Quick little ask. Levi currently has a Spectre's Cowl, which builds into exactly 2 items. I don't know that I have ever seen an Nocturne with Abyssal Mask or Spirit Visage before in my entire existence, especially not anywhere recently. Why in the world? I guess maybe the Abyssal Mask, but then he built a belt, which builds into Spirit Visage, right? Like, that's...
No, I don't think so. I think Spirit Visage
No,
is
it doesn't build into either, actually. Yeah, because the one builds out of Catalyst, and the other one builds out of a Kindle Gem.
Yeah, I think this is just gonna be... He's gonna stay on this item, because Spectre's Skull is quite good in skirmishes, right? Because you get the kind of Doran's Shield passive on it. So I think he's just gonna build something else now, and just have the Spectre's Skull against all the magic damage in the enemy team, especially considering they are cutting your magic resistance down with Nagia there, right? So I don't actually hate the buy. It's gonna put him even further behind the actual item curve, though, and this Nocturne is not going Assassin anyway, so this is just going to be a glorified engage bot.
Oh, okay. Nothing crazy. See, I thought it was going to be an Abyssal buy, like, as soon as possible, because then you have Kennen and you have Vygar, so you're doing the same thing that the Abyssal Mask is doing for Nagia, but the difference is you're doing it for divers, and Nocturne's the perfect setup for it, because he's going to be in the middle of the team with the Stride Breaker anyway, to set up for the Kennen engage. But who am I to say? Again, I don't know why you would have stopped at a Giant's Belt if that's the case. I would have thought you would just go right for the full buy of the Abyssal Mask. But I'm not the one playing in the game, so I'll let Levi be more than anything else. Do note, Navori is done for style, matches the itemization of Vit. Nothing crazy here. I'm still baffled more than anything else that with all the success that Wales has had, especially with neutral objectives and everything else kind of pulled together, they're only up about 1,000 gold right now. I would have thought that this lead would have been massive comparatively. They are pushed off this tower, assuming that there were going to be more members showing up nearby, as Nocturne, I think, is the big thing. You turn off the lights, you get all your members collapsing there. Oh, actually, what are we doing? Into the jungle immediately. Zin is going to get destroyed, as there's nothing else. Levi turns off the lights to try to find something. Vit versus Style on the side. Now Vit's going to get jumped on by Levi. Flash to get him a kill is going to be able to actually get brought down by Levi, but not before he gets the 1-for-1 here. Levi now stuck in no man's land, as he is absolutely nowhere to go. He's going to get run down by Vi. Vi is going to be able to keep him in place, and a kill gifted over to Glory as Team Wales. Yo, wait, again, beating out GAM in the massive team fights because of overstepping. It's always Kiaya that got stepped out. Right there, Levi and Sin. What are you doing? You're just walking into Blind River.
Yeah, and I feel like it all comes down to how Team Wales is not actually putting too much respect on the names of GAM's players, or I should say rather they're not overly cautious playing against GAM. They're just saying, okay, if you want to beat us, we are going to skirmish you. You might be 9-0, but we still have to out team fight us, and at the moment it's firmly Team Wales. But this is a scary situation.
Slicing Maelstrom's available in the pit. Zin jumps in. That's Kiaya who drops the ultimate. He's going to be able to get a large amount of damage on a couple of people. Gets an execute.
Oh, Nagia!
Mikati finding that one. Now Nagia on the other side kills Kiaya. Now he's stuck.
It's so low.
Styles here to help clean up the remainder of the fight. And that is going to be Style finding one. Now, the Baron is, like you said, 1,700 gold. All lights get turned off by Levi. He's just going to run directly at the Baron. And he's probably just going to smite it down. And for every bit of all of the successes that Wales have, somehow GAM finds the rebound play on the Baron buff, and they get control of the game right back.
Oh, they just gifted them the biggest belated birthday present to Hanke ever. After what was such a dominant fighting and skirmishing game for Wales, they completely lose their minds on the objective play. Look at this from Vit again. Vit played the fight so insanely well. 1v2 against Levi and Style. Flash to get the damage on the ultimate and then executing him. Even stunning Levi, so he's forced to flash instantly. It was so well executed from Vit. We rarely ever, especially I, rarely ever praise Vit, but that was just amazingly played. Now Wales. They do have Cho'Gath ult, they do have Smite. Can they get the soul?
I don't know that they're going to be able to here, which I think was the biggest fumble. They might be looking for the fight afterwards. And they're not going to be able to grab it. They're not going to be able to get in. Style now is actually hunting after Killer Queen. I think this was the fumble that peeves me the most about what happened here. They're not done, actually. I'm going to wait for a second. As Team Wales tries to find the engage. In through the Event Horizon goes the Vi, and they're going to be able to find the immediate execute onto Kati, like you said. Style pops the ultimate, is here to try to get something done, and he's actually kiting out really effectively. Now Levi and Kiaya pair together. They're going to go into DAP line.
No way.
For Style to just kind of auto through every single member of the team. Vit is super low, and that is Levi winning the fight on the front end, putting so much damage in. Style still able to work front to back. That's a triple kill, I believe, for Style, as he was putting in damage with the ultimate, getting work done on Team Wales as GAM pulls the game back. Yo, way.
They can't keep getting away with it. It's so insane. They got outplayed for 20 minutes straight, and then they get into the next gear and just destroy the team fight. I think Nagia shouldn't have ulted Kati here, because Kati's already in such a horrible position. You can kill him so easily with just the damage from Vit. And Kati, instead, now Nagia is kind of just sitting around there. He's a big tank, but he's not doing anything, and he doesn't have the threat now on Style. So Style gets to do whatever he wants. Finally, a defensive cannon ult for the first time on the whole day, and you see how potent it is at completely dislodging the enemy team in this team fight, and Style just gets to pull on the shoes and run around the back of the fight. Triple kill now for Style. He's close to a third item, and suddenly, out of nowhere, GAM in a 4K gold lead.
Back when this was like the first initial iteration of this roster, when Style got added, I think you and Carrix were really kind of hesitant to be like, oh yeah, Style's going to be a good addition. You thought the other like ADC was going to start. And ever since Style has been here, this has been the one key thing that Style has added to the roster more than anything else, is that he has like the Artemis effect of, if everything else is going wrong, you can rely that Style might win you team fights at the end of the game. And to be quite honest, if they didn't have that, this might be a very different game for GAM. So Style picking up the pieces. I know everybody had great moments right there. I think Levi's dive in the backline did so much damage to Vit that it was probably a one fight anyway. But the fact that they can rely on Style like this really is an avenue and a gear that GAM didn't have for a lot of years that they picked up over the last 2 or 3.
Yeah, it's such a fascinating player to talk about, because he's not as flashy as the likes of Shogun and Artemis. He's not as lane dominant, and even not quite as strong a hyper carry, but he's still has very good hands. His team fighting is amazing, and his flexibility is what really sets him apart as the mage player. So I would argue you still have to put Artemis and Shogun ahead of him in overall performance, especially when you look at the laning phase, which Style is really not that amazing at. But Style is such a good late game carry player, and he is kind of the ADC you would hope for this kind of team, where your main carries sit in top and jungle. So when do you rely on your ADC? In late game team fights. And there he is, reckless Style, just picking up all the kills, never dying, positioning perfectly, and that is Style's role in this team.
Oh, big jump in. That's Levi, who's going to be looking for the Cho'Gath more than anybody else, and then into the back line.
So tanky.
Great play from Vit is going to call the counterplay. Now Style's going to get ulted up by this Kiaya with a huge ult to go through the rest of the team, as that was a big pick potential, but Style doesn't even go down. Kiaya just saved everything, and the push now into the bottom side. Vit has enough health to be able to get out without too much problem. Kai's going to run on him, not going to be able to find him with the Event Horizon. But what a play from GAM. It looked like it was disaster about to happen. The Team Wales was going to strike back, and the cannon ruins everything.
And again, it's the defensive cannon ultimate, not the aggressive ones that actually win the team fight, because you do have the hyper carry behind you. You do have the Veigar. If you go too far forward, as we saw in series number 1, your team can't follow up. So the defensive cannon ult is so much more potent, especially into all the divers of Wales. How can they ever get to Style? They were so close to actually killing him, but then cannon came in, stunned everyone, and Style was able to once again reel off all the damage in his arsenal. It just looks so hard to play the game for Wales. They have 3 melee champs, 4 melee champs that need to get on top of the enemy ADC. He is slippery himself, and then there's all that peel for him.
Absolutely. It's insane to think about. I want to take you back to the time machine really quick. I might wait for a second because it looks like we might be posturing for a bit of a fight. Both teams in mid lane. TP is going to be there. Yeah, we were a bit low on the camera. As you can see, 2 members were actually here in the back line as Levi tries to use the ultimate to get into something. As it's Xin going down. The ultimate from the Cho'Gath was able to pick it up. The wave's going to be cleared a little bit, and they're going to be okay. Team Wales actually gets away with a kill after the engage. Does not quite stick the way that they wanted it to. Probably have to give up the dragon, but they're okay with that because they get to live to fight another day.
The dragon is in their eyes. They still are thinking about it, but they really can't enter the bot side river. And they have to give it up. Okay, it's not that big of a deal for the enemy team, right? You are... It's hurting you because you know it's gonna be the Ocean Soul. Think about Ocean Soul on Gragas and on Cho'Gath. It would be so nice. But you're not really losing anything in terms of current strength, because second Ocean Dragon really doesn't do anything for GAM. So unless you lose all 4 Ocean Dragons, you do have a little bit of time to scale. Look at the items coming in. Team Wales is getting tankier and tankier, and that carry and Vid is also getting stronger. Maybe not quite as strong a team fight as Style is, but Zaya on this patch, a very, very strong champion of 3 items.
Okay.
Oh!
Wait, what a pick on a Levi. Is going to be able to grab it. He does not even come close to getting executed. His Ki is able to drop a bunch of damage into the 2 members they were using to pick. That's an execute onto Vict immediately. That's an execute onto Killer Queen. And even Glory gonna go down. Team Wales thought they were getting cute, thought they were getting crafty right there, but they do not have the damage to make it work. Levi's too damn tanky, and now they just run up mid lane. Like, bottom lane's going to get pushed up by these minions. They could meet those inside the base after taking the middle inhibitor. Worst case scenario, you take down mid and bot inhibitor, go out, grab the Baron buff, and then you wait for the next kind of big push, and that's all you need to do. If they don't just win right here and right now, your way, GAM turn this game around out of nowhere. How do they keep... year in and year out, this is just always the way that GAM wins games, and it's so not cool. I swear after enough time, somebody's got to check them, because it's ridiculous how often that they can make this happen. One mistake coming out from Team Wales made the difference in this game.
And I think the most remarkable part about these comebacks from GAM that happen so consistently is that the rest of the VCSs level up their early game. Some of the teams have really good players. They can stand up to... Oh, we might have a close one. Very nice from Xin, defending against Killer Queen there. But yeah, the other teams have actually gotten better. The players are there to contest them, some of them, like Shogun, like Artemis, like some of the players in this game, Nagia, Killer Queen, Glory. But the macro and the team fighting is still superior, and GAM now finally really the #1 team fighting team. This is just not the greatest call. It's nice to land a hook, but you're 3v5 there. They get collapsed on instantly, and Vid just turned up. Their main tank is not in the fight. Vid just evaporates against Kati, and the fight is lost from the first second they started it.
It looked to me like they did not think anyone was with Levi. They're like, oh, Levi's here on his own. And then, like, all 5 of them are there, and they're like, well, like, what are you to do? GG, go next. Like, what's to happen? Like I said, I want to take you back in a time machine to 20 minutes into this game where Team Wales was winning by a couple thousand gold, and they made the Baron call, right? If they don't make that Baron call, and then they buy items, they redeploy into mid and bot, they push out those waves, and then they walk into Dragon and walk away with an Ocean Soul, Team Wales probably wins this game. Like 99% of the time. That one over-aggressive call that gets punished because of the short death timers and the instant redeploy, the TP coming out from GAM, was literally the only massive mistake they made up until 20 minutes. And since then, they've been floundering because I think they've over-assumed how much damage they got, how much pick potential they've got. They've just overplayed their hand too much since then. But that was all that it took. One different choice in the macro game is all that Wales needed to really cement this one and give themselves a great shot. And instead, it's GAM knocking on the door to their base.
Yeah, and it's GAM just being better in every macro decision on average. So it just, after a while, after some minutes, it just averages out to their advantage almost any game they play. And at least in every series they play. They're 60% more likely. And
Style gets jumped on immediately by Levi. He almost gets immediately killed as Levi goes jumping into the opposite side of this one. They're fighting on 2 different fronts. As Style's going to be able to bring down the Vi. Yeah, Levi goes into Zonius. He's not going to even come close to dying to Vit as Vit tries to jump in with the Gale Force. And there's still staggering minions around on these Nexus towers. There is nothing to be done. You're going to try to fight, but they can just blitz down the Nexus as much as they want. Kati drops a little bit of damage. It's just not going to matter. Ki is going to keep them pushed off. And GAM, it looked like they were threatened. They were not. 31 minutes. Wales bought them a little bit of time away from the Union mandated. It got kind of average, but goodness gracious, what a turnaround from GAM to take this win.
Yeah, unbelievable. They are just so much better than everyone else in macro, and their team fighting is looking crisp too, which is something they have been beaten before in team fighting, but I think right now they can very confidently say they're the best team fighting team in the league, and usually the best team fighting team or the best early game team win in the VCS, and I think they might have a claim to be both. at this very point, and especially the team fighting at the late game macro looks so crisp. It's good to see for them. It's a little bit frustrating to see teams falter over and over again trying to take down GAM, but it's also amazing to see this team be such an unbelievably hard hurdle to overcome in the late game, because they are just so consistent, so crisp with their decision making. Even when their team composition looks a little scattered, they find a way to adapt the Nocturne and the Cannon to work together with style. They play around style. Karti is relegated to just be a little bit of a peel on Veigar, and he is actually able to then readjust his own positioning after a horrible early game, after going 1-5, and just be there to peel. They all know how to adapt their in-game positions, and that's, I think, the most important part. They don't double down. They don't say, okay, I lost the early game, now I have to carry anyway. No, Karti's fine just saying, well, okay, this is not my game, I have style, I know style can carry me, so now it's style's way, and I'm just gonna be here to support him. So style, Kiaya, go.
Our Kings of the VCS take another awesome game over top of Team Wales. And now we walk into game number 2 in our final series of week number 5 and see whether or not Wales can take a win, can take a series, something off of GAM, or if GAM is going to continue to be the world beater that the VCS known for basically all of eternity. We'll find out in just a couple minutes. Welcome back, everybody, to the VCS English. We're here. Fantastic. Final day of the final series of the week here in week number 5. We got 2 weeks of the regular season left. Next week's a normal week, and then we have Super Week starting on Wednesday. That's April 5th that starts, which is just wild to think about. But here, we're focused on the remaining series here on the day, where GAM has gone up 1-0 over Team Wales. To me, it would be a very defeating victory. I'm hoping Team Wales does not see it that way, and they're able to come back, because that was a really tough loss to a very, very close to them taking a win over top of the number 1 team here in the league.
Yeah, this must be devastating, especially for the likes of B, who his last call, grabbing Levi over the wall there, he thought he got the better of his jungler, and then his team got annihilated. Must feel really bad, especially after that early game. But I do think we can also take the positives out of this game and say they can actually be competitive in the early game. They can out-skirmish and even out-rotate GAM in the early game and get advantages through there. So just forget about the second half, the latter half of the game, and try to replicate that early game again, because really that's all you can do, right? You can't dwell too long on the late game woes, on the team fight mishaps. You just have to try and concentrate, go back to the drawing board, and try it again.
Yeah, and honestly, against a lot of other teams in the league, that strategy would be a lot more effective, because most of them aren't going to be able to make the macro calls that like GAM would make. Now, I will say they do need to practice shutting down the enemy ADC, because in a league where you've got Style and he's able to run your fade the way that he just did in that previous game, you've also got Shogun who can do the same thing. You've got Artemis who can do the same thing. You got Slater who's shown the ability to do the same thing, all of which are playing for playoffs right now. So if you're Team Wales and you're walking in with Vit or Harky, it's like you're probably not the high end of the the firepower when it comes to the marksman position. So winning out games like this are necessary. You have to find a way to keep the ADC out of the game, or to find a way to take victories like this, because otherwise it's going to be really hard if you step into draft of game number 2.
Yeah, looking at the bans again. Ashe once again finds herself on the ban table against B, which makes a lot of sense because he's a very good Ashe player.
Yes. Okay. Perhaps this is a bold take. I'm sick of seeing Wukong. I miss Wukong.
But he's good.
He wasn't here for like 6 years. I've seen enough. I'm done. I don't need any more Wukong in my life. I would like to please just shift the jungle meta. I know you do it once every 6 months for the halibut, but please get. I don't even care if he's like weak enough that like you can still play him or something like that. Bring back Xin Zhao for like a mix up just for a second, and then swap the entire meta and make it like give us Morgana back or something like that. Just, please.
You have actually seen
so
some
done
Xin Zhao. It might come in here.
That used to be the play, right? That used to be a decent like a response to this, because you could kick it back out as long as you didn't hit it with your W. Yeah,
we've seen some leagues transition over to the Xin Zhao. I'm actually the most surprised that Jarvan didn't come back into the meta harder than I mean, we see him on the fringes right now, but he should be a decent. He was actually highest win rate solo queue jungler. Usually he's better in competitive than in solo queue, so still a little bit surprised not to see more Jarvan, but yeah, it's not really a Levi champ, not really something we associate with Levi. He's more about the highly proficient like farming and let's say efficient pathing junglers, which Jarvan isn't really.
He's kind of you could hand him to anybody and probably you're able to jungle with him. Okay, we're back to 22% win rate. Lucian Nami on the bottom side as a response to the Rakan Xayah. I don't like that. I don't like it at all. And you've given now Kiaya an indefensible Kennen, because now they can double ban top lane. Somehow, GAM has gotten a better composition than what they got in the previous game. They have a better bot lane 2v2. They still have Zin's dive threat, and they can protect Kennen, because last game they first picked it.
Yeah, and this time they didn't blind pick Veigar, which I criticized them for, and actually the enemy team just punished them on the Rift too. So good to see them adapting instantly to say, yeah, well, maybe the Veigar was a little bit premature. Let's wait with the Veigar to find better spots for him. Honestly, looking at the enemy team composition, Veigar could once again be an option here, because Lucian, while he can poke from afar with his ultimate, he really has to get close to get all his damage out in the late game, and that's hard to do against Veigar Cage. Interesting ban here. They're a little bit scared of Nagia's Cho'Gath, which looked very nice at being able to kind of neutralize the laning phase of Kiaya, even though Kiaya tried so hard. I hate this Nocturne ban. I think Nocturne was a really bad pick, so banning away the Nocturne seems a little bit like a knee-jerk reaction. You just lost the game to it, but did it really do much? I don't really think so.
I didn't think it was terrible. I don't know that it outright won the game, but the dive threat was something significant. So maybe they're just terrified of that. Not to mention, Wukong oftentimes is like able to bully opposing junglers because the auto attack resets, the enhanced attack speed, stuff like that makes him such a fearsome duelist. And Nocturne just kind of doesn't lose duels. He's just like, oh, you're going to fight me? I'll simply press E and then you'll run away, or I'll get enhanced attack speed and damage from you being on a Q, and then I'll just beat you outright in a fight. That can't happen. Although, they leave up Hecarim, which I would argue is an even stronger jungler than Nocturne, and does exactly the same thing. So, I don't know, Yulwei. I actually really like GAM's composition better than what they had in game number 1.
It's so explosive, but also has really good fallback options, really good scaling too. And Levi Hecarim, you've already seen it once, the split. It looked amazing. It's one of those champions he has kind of added to. He has added this to his pool later on in his career, and I think every time he brings it out, he looks amazing on it. So already hyped to see this. We could go another Yasuo, 2 Yasuos in 1 week. Would be very interesting.
Okay, we're lacking a bit of magic damage. You do get some back from, like, Nami, but it would be a lot more exciting to do this. Again, I thought this was a slam dunk Orianna pick. I'm like, wow, they have 2 great members. Okay, and we're not even going to pick Orianna. We're going to pick Talia. Okay, I guess. You know what? Okay, it denies Rakan entrance. It denies a bit of the Hecarim entrance. I don't hate it. I love Zilean here. I think Zilean's great. It's like, oh, Malphite's going to ult me, and then I'm going to assassinate. Guess what? You don't get to, because then Zilean pops the ult on somebody. Guess what? You also get this superpower Levi in this game. Guess what? You also get this superpower Kiaya in this game, running into the middle of everybody. This is a genius draft from GAM. This is what I wanted to see from GAM.
It's an old school combo. The double, the Hecarim Zilean. The last time it was played a lot was, I believe, Fnatic 2021. Or 2020 maybe even, where they played a lot of Hecarim Zilean with Nemesis and Selfmade in the jungle, I believe, and they just ran over teams over and over again. I'm excited to see this. Usually I hate seeing Zilean mid lane because I associate it with Bjergsen and kind of just want to see the old NA style go to rest, but in this game it's a very different approach. It's actually an aggressive Zilean to buff up your jungler, and this has always been the best for GAM, where they play around their jungler, around Levi, the winningest player in the league. There's a reason for that, and we might get to see the reason in this very game.
Yeah, I love Hecarim. I think Hecarim is one of the most adaptive champions in the game right now. You've got, like, I've talked about, I think there's like 4 builds that you can go on Hecarim right now, and all of which are very, very useful. And it can make him a damage dealer, it can make him a frontliner, it can make him a tank shredder, it can make him just like anything that you want him to be, he could be right now. So to me, I'm surprised we haven't seen even more Hecarim than we already do. But I'm glad that the VCS has picked it up a little bit, because we've seen a couple of junglers start to grab it up and make it useful. Pair with a Zilean, not something I would have expected, but you know what? Kadi's always got tricks up his sleeve. He used to play Anivia. I always wait for that Anivia to come out, but you know what? He gives me the Zilean instead as we step into game number 2. Somehow, in some way, GAM continues to give us some fun picks as Wales looking to keep their dreams alive in this series, in our final series of the week here. Nigia versus Nigia, just slapping around Kiaya a little bit.
Yeah, and GAM must feel really good after the last game, right? And especially the bot lane. Style got to chill. I think there should be Here's in W. Right. Yeah, that's nothing to be worried about. You would have skilled W anyway, level 1. Usually do that. Sometimes you go for Q or E, but yeah, it's fine. Nothing really lost there. No summoner invested. Style wants a bit of poke and blurry, maybe? Nope. Not quite going for it. But yeah, it just must feel good to be a GAM player right now. You're already sitting at 9-0. You've already beaten this team. You know you're the best team in the league. And then your mid laner can just put out these weird champions on top of that. Just grabs into his pocket and finds the fishes out of Zilean. It was an insta-pick too, so very much a prepared strategy. I'm so excited to see Levi just zooming through this whole game with the Zilean speed.
However, will critique Levi because he played Hecarim against Flash, right? And he went very, very well. It was like 5-1 and 13 performance from Levi. He was crushing. and he built the most boring build of all recorded human history when me and Mobby were observing that earlier on this week, because he went for Sunder into Black Cleaver, which is like, that's the most bargain barrel build that you could ever go for on Hecarim. You can go Spear of Sojin. Actually, I'm going to hang out for a second. I'm going to stop being salty for at least a
dodging there.
Yeah, Bees dodging was super good. The double exhaust as well to make sure that nothing was going to come down. Is Style and Zin actually kind of get bodied on that 2v2 right there. Huge winning in the health trade. Now Vit gets to continue to poke down. Difficult for Style to access this wave anytime soon. You're going to have to wait for the pots to come through. Oh, it's Vit!
Ooh, yeah, and I actually think that was a good decision not to attack. He was holding his breath there because he would have gotten into... he would have at least be punished by one tower shot. I think that's actually a bad trade for you, so I don't hate this. Yeah, but I mean, I do like when players can change their plans. We have Killer Queen on the dive here, and Levi is pretty low in mana. Can he defend this one? No, he lost it.
Okay, actually, no, yeah, he loses it. And actually, he's probably going to lose the 1v1 too, because he just doesn't have the mana to stay upright. He also E'd the wrong person, as Zin is going to be able to find the play into Killer Queen. If I were Killer Queen, go execute. Don't give the kill to Zillion, give the kill to Zin. Absolutely. Flash over the wall.
Or just kill him.
Keep him
No!
upright. Wow. Worst case scenario. Zin gets out, and the kill goes over after the summoner spells were burnt. So Kadi just gets a free kill to walk away with. I do appreciate the invade. I thought it was really good from Killer Queen. Again, that push in from Vit and B led to that invade going in and working out super well for Killer Queen. But again, burnt flash from Killer Queen and B for basically nothing.
But this is the Killer Queen we know and love, the aggressive one, the invading one, the one that needs to go for skirmishes and wants to accelerate the game in the 1v1. And I don't even understand what Levo was thinking here. Levo was very clearly losing this one. And you have to remember, Killer Queen, of course, with the passive going, gets so much HP back and also so much armor. Very confusing. But yeah, just... You wanted to flash Q for the kill, but it just doesn't quite work out. Killer Queen's so close to a 2v1.
Not to mention, the other thing that really peeved me about that is that Style came in and Q just like up at Zillion basically instead of directly at Killer Queen. I think he was assuming that Killer Queen was going to try to escape by running backwards towards Zillion, but that just is never going to happen. So it was a very strange set of events that just occurred right there. But grand scheme, it is a kill. You get a kill onto your Wukong in exchange for the kill onto the Zillion, so nothing insane about that. I think it's valuable for the Wukong. Killer Queen can try to take over the game now, shut the Hecarim out at least a little bit. So you get a bit of coverage here. Wukong looking at something, but there's no way a dive comes out this early on in the game.
Hecarim just counter jungling on the top side now, so he did punish it instantly. That's very clearly Levi's experience and Levi's ability to read the game state. He's always the first to be in the enemy jungle when it's safe, but he might have overstepped a bit because now he's getting caught by Glory. He doesn't have flash, remember? Good dodge, though.
Nice dodge. Yeah, nice dodge. E tags him, but again, doesn't get shoved through them, so not going to get stunned, not going to take the bulk of that damage. Instead, just going to get a couple of camps in and walk out for free. One problem, Killer Queen can run into his jungle and go fight him because there's not been a back from Levi yet. I don't know why he bought nothing on his first back. Oh, he bought boots, my apologies, on his first back. But didn't buy anything else really substantial, which means that the Caulfield is going to be such a big boon for Killer Queen to have. Looks like he's going to be able to grab back a Raptor. I don't think it was all the Raptors. I think some of them got taken by Levi, but a decent chunk of that is going to go over to Killer Queen. Probably get his Krugs, too, so it's a response. All the camps that just got picked up by Levi is going to have to be defended by Kiaya, who runs over here.
Look at this coordination. They know so well how to play around the jungle, and instantly Kiaya comes in to defend this camp against the enemy jungler. Killer Queen! Wow. Going crazy. That was an
interesting decision. Okay, and now Levi's going to be here on the redeploy. Just, that was... Killer Queen, homie, what? in what universe? He literally killed the big Krug. That camp gets executed in 6 seconds unless Kiaya sticks around and just, like, kills it himself. That would have been 2 lost camps on top side. Levi, if he decided... I think the thought process was Killer Queen says, if Levi comes here, he's dumping the rest of his clear because he's just way behind and everything else. He's going to lose both camps. It's not going to matter. Not expecting to die, maybe. I don't know. That's probably the thought process. Is Vit
maybe,
not going to matter that much. That's the only thing I can think is Killer Queen's like, oh, he will never come here because he needs to go clear on the other side of the map. So I am free reign to kill Kiaya, and then Hecarim shows up and he's like, well, guess I'm dead. Like, I don't know.
I mean, I don't even think he wins against Kiaya, to be perfectly honest. He was a level down.
He did either.
Yeah, that was a very confusing play. This is more of the Killer Queen we know from 2 years ago when he came in to the league and was the most aggressive player of all time. Just went for it every single time. He has been more measured this year. This is reminiscent of that time.
Hey, Yoey.
Oh no!
Take a little look-see. Take a little look-see up towards Kiai's build path, because we saw the grasp. Take a little look-see at what he's building right now.
No.
You know what that is? You know what that is?
That is a heart steel.
That's a heart steel.
No,
Heart steel cannon, baby. Let's go. What sort of dark tech are we pulling out here, Kiaya? You gotta love it.
Yeah, the grasp. I saw the first grasp proc and was like, huh? Is Malphite really going grasp in this matchup? And then yeah, it flew towards Kiaya, and my life was kind of shattered, because that is not supposed to happen. He's actually down in CS, but I mean, to be fair, he made a detour to help his jungler, but he has lost the plating in the 1v1 matchup. What is going on? What is Kiaya cooking? I'm not sure I like it.
You know what? I'm here for it, all right? I don't think Heartsteel's that great, because I think it stacks way too slowly to use effectively in a side lane most of the time, unless you were just outright bullying the opposition. That's my one downside of it. Other than that, I'm like, okay, he's range versus melee. Maybe he could take abuse of it. I was trying to look and see whether or not there was a game of record on this. No, nobody's played this. Not even one person has actually played this build path. At least not that I can find. Maybe somebody in chat or somebody in our Discord could kind of prove me wrong and throw something out there. I've seen a couple AD cannons, but I have not seen even a single Heartsteel cannon in all of the games that I'm able to look at. So this is a Kiaya special, an OG VCS special. As Glory jumps in on the Rift Herald, Levi is going to be in the midst of the pit.
Levi's in trouble.
Everybody gets steered away. He does have the Zillion ultimate right now, so they have pulled aggro off of him. They do not get the Rift Herald either.
Come on.
He's going to die just at the last second. Is Kiaya's going to turn on the ultimate, and now they can maybe turn for the rest of the fight. I don't know if they've got the damage for it. They're going to try to find Glory. That's the bombs. They're going to come through. Kiaya's going to have to do quite a bit of work here to be able to kind of do everything else. They're going to find one onto Glory. Now it's Kadi, and it's Kiaya against the rest of the world. Nagia is going to be able to bring him down, as B is the last one remaining. Bubble's going to come down, but Nagia does not fancy his chances. And instead, it is just a 3-for-2 in favor of Team Wales and the Rift Herald going over, pulled up by Nagia, but at least they do get something as they win a big fight against GAM.
I think they're going a bit crazy, Rebel. What is going on with GAM this game? Look at Levi's HP as he tries to defend the Rift Herald. He goes down so quickly, and he doesn't even have any mana. I have no idea what's going on with his ultimate either. He didn't even go onto Glory. And speaking of Glory, he is just carrying the fight silently on the other side, because he gets every single kill. He has such good positioning, so much damage on the Talia, double kill already. I think he goes down in the end to Kiaya, but still, a decent fight, especially considering they got the Rift Herald Eye, so that could be even more gold for them. Bot lane.
Nagia saved his ultimate till then. What a weird thing to do. Okay, then Xin is going to be able to dash out because he's got range enhanced because of Xayah. And Killer Queen is here, but I don't think Killer Queen is going to be able to find the wraparound fast enough. Oh, he W's over the wall. He's going to be able to find something on the dive underneath. Vic, does he have ultimate? He does not. He would have to dash W or something along those lines. It does find it. Nice wave as well. Might actually kill Style. Nope, not going to happen. They have prevented Style from leaving. Is there reinforcement? Levi's on the way, but I don't think they're going to find him. Xin is going to have to be here on his lonesome, and now Killer Queen can kind of just leave. Yeah, Killer Queen, Killer Queen, Killer Queen, Killer Queen, please, Killer Queen, leave. He's going to jump back and try to find Xin. I don't think he's going to. Instead, it is a 1-for-1. Killer Queen, doing? For every positive play, he just insulted another death. I swear. This is actually OG 2021 Killer Queen.
Yeah, it's vintage. Vintage Killer Queen, and he has 4 deaths already at 10 minutes. Look at his kill contribution for both teams. It's insane. He has been part of all kills for his team and all but 1 kill for the enemy team. He is really just the protagonist. Everyone else doesn't matter. He's playing with all the other players are just there to set him up for failure and glory. And at the moment, it's unfortunately more failure, but maybe he can... Oh. How was that out of tower range? That's insane.
Kiaya is a beast, all right? Kiaya knows these things and is able to get away very effectively. Now Nagia trying to chase him down. Honestly, I don't know that he has the bones to be able to do this because he's down the ultimate and he's got the area. Like, yeah, I can just trade back with the grasp. I know Kiaya doesn't have all that much, but there's no real threat. Here comes Killer Queen. Okay, where is everybody else on the map? Is it possible for Killer Queen to kill away? Is Kiaya? He does have Slicing Maelstrom. Rift Herald's going to get dropped. Now Killer Queen's wrapping around, trying to keep the wave back. Are they going to actually dive him? Kiaya's down to about 1,000 health, pops through Slicing Maelstrom early to make sure that the sun's going to go down. He's not dead yet.
Not
Nagia
yet.
is not going to die, though, so do not worry about it. He is going to find her. In the meantime, on the bottom side, looks like a dive has actually come through.
Oh,
right there.
B!
Glory's going to provide 2 more, potentially, as there's going to be an ultimate coming through from Kadi to make sure that Levi is not going to die. They still have a bit of pressure here, but I do not know how they actually get out of this one unscathed. They're going to look. They're doubling down on the bottom side dive. Who is to guess? Levi, what are we doing, man? Okay, he is able to get 1 back for Kadi. So it is a 1-for-1 on the bottom side in exchange for the 1-on-1 on top side, and top tower almost certainly going to go down. They're just leaving. TP is going to come in from Ki. I'm not sure what that was. B is charging in a 3 right now. It is a wild game, Yolway. I do not know what is happening.
We have OG Killer Queen. We also have OG VCS action, OG GAM with just going for play after play. By the way, the most fat members of this whole game are actually Zillion and Nami, the two... Obviously, the 2 champions we expect the most from. But also, this might be the best day of Nami's we've ever seen in the VCS, because B is absolutely smurfing out of his mind in this game, too. Look at the double bubble he hits here. After this one, this was not the greatest. Okay, fair enough. But the one he hits after this one is so good to set up Glory. And they do get the kill on Style, I believe. Yeah, there it is. Boom. Bubble on both of them. Beautifully done, and just barely not enough to kill Zin, and of course the Zillion is here to save the day. So in the end, it's still a winning play for GAM. So much action across the board, it's very hard to say who's actually getting out with the advantages, but both teams just going tit for tat.
Oh, okay. That was actually really sexy by Levi. Levi presses his E and then he saves it, and he knew he was going to be bad. And a double bomb was actually planted on the ground by Kadi. That is a fight that got lost off screen. We actually are probably going to have to go replay in vintage VCS viewing fashion. If you remember, it's usually just replay and then a fight had already happened. So you go back and
we traveled back in time.
We really have traveled back in time. A whole year here inside the VCS. We're seeing plenty of things happen. It looks like Levi and Style went down in a potential contest for the Dragon, although I think Team Wales got the first one, so that was probably a steal. At least they do get that. That's nice.
Yeah, and Wales actually really far ahead now, more than 2k at 14 minutes, kind of destroying GAM in this laning phase, and GAM might have over-indexed into trying to fight these skirmishes with a Zillion with most of the gold.
Yeah, and then Levi went running in to try to find something, tackled Glory out of the range of everybody else. Yeah, this was a really weird kind of set of things that happened right now. And Style also presses that ultimate so late. I feel like you could have popped that earlier and hit multiple members with it. Instead, just chose to use it defensively and ended up dying anyway. So, I don't know. This is a weird game from GAM and a weird game from Wales. And a 2K advantage means absolutely nothing because we saw that in the last game and then they coin flipped on Baron and just lost anyway.
Yeah, but it's time for the most important thing in the game. Check Kiaya's HP bar. It's looking pretty healthy.
Bigger
right
than
now.
Nagia's. TP to top side. As Levi's up here as well, that's an ultimate that's going to be popped in. Glory now going to jump down directly into Slicing Maelstrom. Ultimate's going to get popped on Levi.
Build, though.
He's going to push him back into the tower. He's going to take a tower shot. That will be 1. Levi's going to be able to walk away with at least a 1-for-1 so far. But a B up on the top side is going to throw the wave and immediately get a response. As that's going to be first tower for Glory. So all a couple of kills thrown over in exchange for that bottom tower. Looks like Styles going to be able to collect that one in response.
And to add to the things that are vintage about this game, it's also B being everywhere on the map and playing amazingly.
Oh, yeah.
So B with an absolute cracker of a game. Think back to series number 1 against GAM. He played the Annie, which is actually permabanned in this series, to be fair.
Yep.
It's most of the time it's permabanned, but in this case, B completely stomped GAM the first time they played against each other, all the way back, I think it was even week 1. And now he's back here with Nami, and we don't really associate Nami most of the time with great plays, but B is really making it work. Unfortunately, he's also stealing almost every kill. He stole the kill on Kiai here as well. But he is everywhere. He's winning the fight, so yeah, he deserves a little bit of gold.
Just a little bit. Not too bad. It was a nice 2-for-1. It was a nice roam. I'm really surprised they put as much as they did into this topside play as a response to the bottom side, but it did net them a decent amount as they're still up about 2,500 gold in this game over top of GAM. I'm still worried about the scaling that's going to come through. Although now that Kiaya's not gone AP and is instead gone for this weird tank construction, it's less valuable to throw the Zillion like speed buff on him, because usually you're like, oh yeah, you can run through the entire team with Slicing Maelstrom, pop everyone with a W, and then everyone's half health. It's just not the case now that he hasn't gone for Pen, hasn't gone for AP, anything like that. Zin is just kind of leading directly the ultimate on top of Style. Somehow Style takes the majority of his health bar, despite the fact that Zin was trying to body block for him, and now Vit kind of wants a little bit more. Rifttail dropped in the mid lane. B again with the wave, that time not going to catch it in any capacity, as a TP is going to come out into the mid lane to try to prevent this from going down.
But they keep pushing forward. Team Wales is not letting up. That is very good to see. They just keep going aggressively into GAM. And remember, last game, they were very far ahead of 20 minutes. It's gonna be the same kind of situation in this game again. So they just need to show us that they're actually able to walk down the whole of GAM. Not just the first 20 minutes, but also after Baron spawns. And maybe just don't think about Baron at all, because it didn't go your way in the last game. Just try to play around the dragons. That seemed to go a little bit better for your side. And also, look at that cannon. 169 now on that hard steel already. He is having his own kind of game. I'm not entirely sure what game he's playing. It's not League of Legends, that's for sure. But I want to see the 4k HP cannon.
Kiai's playing a little Stardew Valley right now, right? He's farming up. He's making sure that he's scaling for later. He's going to become an absolute menace. Going to have 1,000 stacked heart steel, so that inside of fights, he's going to be able to do a lot of damage. It's going to be pretty awesome. Bigger thing, it is Mountain Drake and Mountain Soul, which is a disgusting addition to this team. Think about it. Hecarim with Mountain Soul, already terrifying. You throw a Zillion ult on top of it, even harder to kill. Kiaya with this tanky build, gonna be hard to kill as well. Like, this team would be impossible to kill if they end up stacking for this soul point. So Team Wales, if I were Team Wales, I would actually throw a lot more into saying, I don't care if you equalize on gold a little bit, we need dragons. Like, those dragons cannot go over the GAM in any capacity.
And at the same time, it's also a really good soul for the side of Team Wales, right? Not only is it just a really good soul in general, but it's also on a team with Malphite, of course, one of the tankiest champs in the game, especially later on in the game. But then also Wukong, who has scaling armor hidden in his passive, so that's gonna get amplified as well. So I feel like this dragon could really decide the game. In most cases, I actually think dragons tend to get a little bit overrated. I've seen a lot of teams actually lose even after Soul, but this one might really be the deciding factor in the game.
Yeah, at minimum, it's going to be enough leverage for Team Wales to be able to pull in GAM after another 10 minutes. So 28 minutes right now is the timer for the optimal dragon take that's going to force GAM into a bad fight. So keep your eyes on that one if that were to come up. Notably also, Style is just getting absolutely bullied in this game. Like I swear, Vit on cooldown with that culling is just like dropping it on Style and almost killing him every single time that they actually see each other, which is just crazy to think about. But if you are on the side of GAM and you're facing up against the Mountain Soul, think about Xayah doesn't have the most ridiculous damage in the entire world. I will stand by that fact no matter what the circumstance. She has good damage, don't get me wrong. But you also throw in a Zillion, a Hecarim who's a little bit behind in the game, and a Kennen who is not building full AP. This is not like a bunker buster of a composition. So if you've got a bunch of defensive stats, it's going to be hard to kind of pull it through, as that is Kiaya running directly at Glory, pops the Slicing Maelstrom, is going to force out the Zonias. Now Killer Queen
He's a tank,
well.
remember!
That's a big play. Yeah, Kiaya is doing quite a bit of damage right now, even though he is full tank with this Heart Steel, is getting quite a few stacks as well. He's not going to die because the Zillion Ultimate's going to be thrown on.
This is ridiculous!
And GAM does it again! GAM wins a team fight out of absolutely nowhere. Killer Queen somehow fooled Levi into thinking he was in the opposite direction as Kiaya. Or not, she's going to stop me. He has access. Vit's got to come here and probably like bail out his team more than anything else. Here comes Style as well. ADC for ADC, TP in the midst of everything. Xin is looking for maybe some sort of entrance. Vit's the only one with a health bar that's even accessible right now. As Kiaya wants more. He's a tank, Vit. What are you going to do with him? Absolutely nothing. Look at him. Half health Vit with nothing but additional Heartsteel stacks. I was wrong.
Okay, this build is too broken. This build is too broken. I can't accept it. This is ridiculous. Look at him. He's so tanky and just one-shot Vit there almost. Okay, let's take this mess apart. So, Team Wales kind of overcommit onto Kiaya because not only is he tanky, he also has Karti's ultimate in the back pocket too. So, you should really try to kill Karti and force him to ult himself. Instead, they've spent so much time trying to kill Kiaya. Remember, Kiaya doesn't actually ever go down in this fight. And then Levi, if he's not exhausted, he probably just cleans house immediately. But wait, Xin is just dancing around the other side, having some fun.
Xin was escaping and accidentally ran into B when B flashed over the wall, so it was just support staring at each other. If it weren't for Levi messing up which was the right Wukong as well, that would have been 2 kills and it would have been a 1 fight. Instead, I think it was just a 1-for-0. Which does suck, because I feel like GAM played that a lot better than a 1-for-0, but they took enough health for it to not be a 1-for-0. They probably took 3 champions worth of health in that fight.
Yeah, and it looks like GAM's composition is slowly coming together. I do want to go back to before the fight, though, because I wanted to point out something that you talked about before the game started, and that was Team Wales having to find a way to focus the enemy ADC, not only in this particular best of 3, but also throughout the whole of the season, as we don't have time because there's another engage on Kiaya.
Yes, Kiaya, he gets the Zillion ultimate. He's going to pop the Slicing Maelstrom, so gets quite a bit. Levi's going to shove them back now, as Xin is also going to go diving through. They actually have enough time to put up feathers, and they can't follow through! They could go to Baron in this case, because Levi just dropped the ultimate. Everybody just kind of dropped ultimates. But if GAM can somehow stabilize this and make sure that Baron is not the play, they actually got out scot-free. There is no way. They just walked out of that.
It's too broken. The build is too broken. It bought enough time for Karti to actually make it up to Kiaya. Kiaya didn't even fret, didn't even flash, but here's another one.
Still haven't done anything. I mean, what is Wales doing? Wales should have gone to Baron. Now B gets engaged on by Levi. Levi's going to take quite a bit of damage on the way out, but he's still not going to fall. Go to Baron. Walk at Baron. Please. GAM is at like 10% health with no cooldowns. Walk at Baron, please.
No, please no. Now it's too late. Now it's too late, Team Wales. Think about last game. Now it's too late. Don't take Rebels' advice. It's not. It's gonna kill you.
They had a chance, and they just didn't. They didn't do it. Now I'm okay with them leaving. They had more. They've given time for Kiaya and Levi to go back and re-enter the fight. If they had just give your mid tower, walk at Baron, they can't kill you. They can't do it. They had nothing left. Now they have all their cooldowns. They're going to have mid priority. They're going to have backs for 2 of their big members. The only problem now is that GAM didn't back Style and they didn't back Cotty, which means that they probably lose mid prio for the Dragon. Maybe Team Wales, this was big brain to keep them on the map long enough that like they were like, oh, we're going to threaten Baron with just a little bit, and now they get the Dragon priority. If that's the case, big brain over to Team Wales. But I feel like there was an opportunity there.
Okay, let's check in for Dragon. Everything is available for GAM apart from Style Ultimate, so maybe Nagia can lock in Flash Ultimate on top of him and you can eliminate Style, but of course there's Karti's Ultimate to prevent that from happening. So it's a little scary to fight for Dragon, but it seems like GAM is not even close, so that's another Mountain Drake, another 9% on this patch of bonus of extra resistances for the enemy team, so GAM is kind of losing the plot here.
They want the smoke. Yeah, Levi's going to go running in. I think they want the fight afterwards more than anything else. Xin is going to find a tag onto Glory, and is going to get pushed back into everybody else. Kiaya with a Slicing Maelstrom that hits basically nobody. That's an ultimate.
Glory's alive, though.
He's not going to do anything because of the Cotty ultimate. And now everything's kind of split into 100 different pieces here for the side of GAM. Can Kiaya actually win on the other side of the fight? He's actually winning against Killer Queen as Vit is just tearing apart the rest of the side of GAM. And Kiaya doesn't have the damage to win on the left side of the fight either, so nobody gets anything on GAM's side. Team Wales. Much better call this time. I was wanting them to Baron. I thought that they had more than enough time to do it. Instead, they stall out. They get mid-prio. They walk at Dragon, and they win a massive team fight. They burnt every summoner on GAM, and now they get their Baron prize. That is a much better macro call. Don't listen to me. You know what you're doing, Team Wales.
And
100%.
And on the other hand, GAM actually with a very rare macro complete oversight, because if you don't fight for the Dragon, there is no reason to then expose your ADC that didn't even have ultimate to being engaged on. Let's take another look at this. GAM way too late for the Dragon, and then they focus on Glory, but they don't have the damage. Glory even exhausts the wrong target, but Levi is not dealing any damage to Glory, and now of course the re-engage comes in. Levi instantly evaporates. I didn't even know where the Zillion ulti went, I think on Kiaya probably. And at this point, everything is over because Karti doesn't deal any damage. He's Zillion. He's just there to protect his members. And the one combo you were supposed to play around, the Zillion and Hecarim, we're playing completely different fights in this game.
I'm not impressed by the way that they're able to actually generate anything, and GAM now stares down the barrel of a 7k gold disadvantage. It is huge. First off, Vit is huge. Vit has been amazing in this game alongside B. Both bot laners have had a complete resurgence, a renaissance of play inside of this one, where Vit has just been a backline assassin. And the crazier part is GAM doesn't do anything about it. GAM is never diving for Vit. They're diving for Killer Queen, they're diving for Glory, they're diving for B, whoever it might be. Kiaya actually is going to get a decent chunk of damage, but Killer Queen is just too strong. He's not Black Cleaver. He's got Sunder. Look at that. He didn't even take damage. He took no damage from Kiaya right there. Like, what are you supposed to do? And then, again, if you go diving into one of these other important members of the team, Vit is just walking past Hecarim, walking past Kiaya and saying, I'll just go kill Style, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, GAM is so far behind. They should not win this game. This is more severe than most of the games that they've come back from. This is a really big goal disadvantage. And Team Wales is not seeming to let up here in these team fights. It looks like they are much more coordinated now, just pushing down, playing the textbook style where you can't make that many mistakes.
Going to kill Levi.
Levi is walking very quickly. Oh, Glory actually
He
flashed
just
after him.
flashed. And Style almost again gets just run at by Vit, and there's nothing to be done. Nobody is here. Levi's not going to be back. He's not going to be fully healthy when he gets back either, so it should be a Nexus Tower. I'm guessing it's going to be a Nexus Tower unless they just decide to
Careful
peel
now.
off
Style
of it.
has no summoner spells and no ultimate. If Nagia just ults on him, Style probably dies.
Nagia gets stuck underneath the tower. For some reason, absolutely does nothing. That's going to be a kill coming through from Kiai. Now, Rez in the middle of the team is Xin. Xin is going to get caught up. He's going to go down, but there's some more damage. Now, Vit is trying to work his way forward, trying to find Kiai. Does not actually get it. As the push is thwarted, more or less, Vikati wants more. He runs very far forward. He's going to get brought down by Xin. Now we're back to a numbers advantage for Team Wales. They have all the health on GAM's side. I think they have to be cautious about this. They do not want Levi kind of running at them with Ghost, which could be up in a couple of seconds. Kiaya also has the ability to TP if there's any sort of deep ward here. And so, Team Wales finally calls it off, finally says, no more push, we're just going to leave. 10k gold advantage, take it off the board. Minute until Dragon Soul is on their docket as well.
Yeah, that's the good call to make there.
Did he ult in place?
Yeah, he did. He panicked.
Nagia?
Nagia could have eliminated Style. They actually had a way to win this game here, because Style is so low. That's a Nagia ult and an E, and even if Nagia dies for it, Style is dead. He doesn't have any defensive tools anymore. Okay, Kati's ultimate, of course, but in the end... Go ahead.
Just ult backwards! Like, why would you ult in place?
Yeah, it's a bit confusing, but in the end, it doesn't really matter too much.
You're right.
The Dragon Soul on the cards 40 seconds away, and GAM has to contest this one. I don't think they can ever win against extra shields and all the extra HP to work with from this
chance.
Dragon Soul, so they kind of have to find a way to get in there. I can't really see it happening now. Do they have any good flank wards? They do have one or two close to the Dragon Pit.
It's going to be easy enough to sweep those out, though. It should be something that B can do as soon as B kind of walks into the river, because right now B's super far forward, putting down approach wards, which is a really good strategy. They do find the one. Don't get baited. Don't get baited by Kiaya. Yeah, they actually... What? Why swap the ward? Why? Like, that was a fine ward. I know it was probably going to go down eventually, but, like, it was a weird place to put it, because all you did was donate that gold to Vit, and then you had no extra damage. Killer Queen went diving a little bit. He started the game inting a little bit, but, ever since, Killer Queen has been perfectly fine. He's actually become a great duelist for the squad on any approach. And honestly, they're just kind of running at this tower. There's not much that can be done by GAM. They don't have the wave clear from this far out to be able to prevent this from happening. And at any point, they could just turn around and run directly at Mountain Soul. In fact, Style and Levi are both gone right now. They're just going to lose the inhibitor for absolutely nothing.
And I love this call from Wales, because every normal team would go for the Dragon Soul there, so the enemy team kind of says, okay, we have a little bit of a timing window to maybe get an objective shutdown on the other side of the map if we don't contest the Dragon Soul. But instead, Wales just says, oh, you want to go into top lane? Well, our Dragon Soul, we can take that a minute later. Yeah, very nicely done from Nagia there, XD. No, but I still like the macro call, and look at Vit's damage. He's here to... Vit. Oh!
Does he die? No, he doesn't. Of course, Zillion doesn't have damage. On the left side of the fight, here comes Kiaya with the ultimate, and Levi goes diving as well. Hits just about everybody with that Hecarim ultimate. Zin on the other side is split off completely. Nobody has the damage to actually clean up anything. Vit doesn't die to the ignite, almost certainly. Yeah, he's not going to tick down fast enough, as that's going to be Mountain Soul now for the side of Team Wales. They had the pieces. They just couldn't put them all in one place at one time. They don't have any sort of centralizing damage. And because of that, GAM's dead. GAM's done in the game. We're going to game 3, almost certainly.
Yeah, and what a comeback for Wales. Last time they played each other, Wales actually dominated game 1. They won in 38 minutes. It was a little bit of a struggle in the back half of the game, but they did look quite convincing. Then GAM smashed them in game 2, and we had a little bit of a contentious game 3. But this time around, it looked like GAM would just dominate this series. Yeah, let's just ignore that one.
Okay.
The funniest thing is actually Hecarim just running in it, immediately just running out again. That was amazing. But Vit almost oversteps, almost dies as he flashes right on top of the stun. Yeah. But in the end, Zillion damage is not enough. But let's take another look at the Levi Express. That's just the best interaction I've ever seen. His job there was done.
There were so many things that happened. So Kiaya ulted, Nagia ulted and shorted it, but it actually burnt Kadi's ultimate because Kadi thought he was gonna get hit. So God, they didn't have the Zillion revive for that fight, which could have been a massive difference maker. As Levi has to run out, he has the ultimate on him. He's just gonna get caught now. Caught his style. That's game. Baron buff's done. Mountain Soul's done. There's nothing left for GAM here. They were not able to execute this composition at all. I think not having Style on a big damage dealer did hurt them quite a bit because, again, they needed the one big crux to pull it all together. If Kiaya is not building full AP this game, you need a primary damage dealer, and you don't have that Levi. Levi didn't get far enough ahead, and Style got absolutely wrecked in this game with this Lucian Nami, which honestly is probably the best one we've seen all split coming out of VIT and B. Like, they went so hard in this game, as it's just Team Wales pushing in the last couple waves to clean this
What a redemption game for VIT, as they have one final fight to win.
Not gonna matter now. Kiaya underneath the tower pops the ultimate, but gets basically nothing. These Nexus towers are falling. Killer Queen's in the backline, having taken exactly 0 damage up until this point. I think his shield has actually grown in size, as that's gonna be Team Wales taking us to game number 3. This is actually my first 6-game day, I think, all season so far. I don't know about you, but usually when I cast a Saigon Buffalo, they go 3 games, and that's about it. But this is our first. This is, I think, my first casted 6-game game.
We only had 2 games in Series 1, though.
Oh, what am I thinking? I'm a moron. No. Disaster. All right.
Okay, back to the stats, because in my opinion, I want to talk a little bit more about the absolutely insane performance from the bot lane. We talked about it at the end, but also what a stinker of a game for the side of Style, and into VIT, where a lot of people think VIT is one of the not so great ADCs, and his game 1 wasn't great, but game number 2, he put up such a show. Highest damage, while his support actually had the same damage as the enemy AD carry, by the way. Nami and Zarya, they're on almost the same number. Nami out-damaging the main carry of this composition, that is Hecarim. Everything was set up for Hecarim to carry, and this time around, GAM missed the mark completely. What a performance for Wales. They were so good in this game.
Yes, I gotta say, Killer Queen was him. He was a little bit overeager at the beginning of the game, but by the end of the game, he legitimately was just a backline diver who could not take damage. VIT was a beast. B was a beast. And the Talia pick, I had my criticism of. I thought that they were going to go to Orianna or something to pair with like the rest of the composition. Honestly, the Talia ended up being an absolute banger because there was no way for Kiaya or Levi to run into fights without getting absolutely wrecked by those rocks. Props to Team Wales. I didn't give them enough credit for what they had to kind of all together, and they were able to put together quite a performance. After all things said and done. So now we walk into game 3. I know GAM tried a little bit of a weirdness. Again, they tried the Hecarim, which isn't the most common of picks right now. They tried the Heartsteel, and again, which honestly, I gotta be honest, I would be fine seeing it again. I thought it was perfectly fine. But now GAM has to find some sort of answer, because that's they don't take losses all that often. Walking into game 3, what do you think? Does Wales have their number today? That was the 2nd game in a row. They got off to a pretty decent lead.
I think they're walking the line, right? Because as long as GAM still wins the series, they can always say, yeah, well, we have the best of 3. We can always experiment, right? But this one game, it could be the one game that kind of turns the tide, where finally they lose the series because maybe they experimented too much, or maybe the enemy team was just better. So I just keep waiting with bated breath for the one team that actually gets the better of them after a little bit of trolling. I do give GAM a little bit of the benefit of the doubt, because the composition was very experimental. The Heartsteel Cannon, the Hecarim Zillion, we haven't seen a Zillion in a very long time, so as long as they keep winning the series, I kind of am okay with just giving them a pass. But as soon as they lose the series after such a game, I think you have to criticize them.
Okay. I want to just say this right now, because I did not expect this walking in today. We are 1 game away from Box Esports getting their first 2 wins and first series win of the split in a 2-0, and our first day where GAM takes a series loss. 1 game. No one could have predicted that outcome. No one. We're going to find out in just a couple minutes. We'll be back in a bit. Welcome back, everybody, to our final game of the 5th week of VCS English. We are in a joyous state of amazement the fact that Wales has been able to push GAM the way that they have today. Again, I made a point of it before we started that our number 1 team could lose, that was undefeated prior, and our number 0 team, our 8th place team that hadn't won, might also win on the same day, which might be one of the first times ever that that's been the case. It'd be wild to make history like that if that were the case. So, Yoe, what does GAM do? Like, what is GAM doing wrong at the beginning of the game to cause Team Wales to just absolutely run them?
Well, we have seen Killer Queen be the more active jungler, right? And also Wales, this time around the bot lane, they were able to create quite a big advantage in the 2v2, right? We saw them actually win trades Lucian Army level 1, which we almost never see nowadays. Usually it's Lucian Army waits till level 3, and then slowly but surely they take over the lane, but Bit and B started from level 1, and they never let off. They just... they just kept dominating. Bit played super aggressively. 1 or 2 times in the game it was a little too aggressive, but in the end it worked out in his favor. And he was so far ahead in items. Style was completely shut down. If Wales can replicate this kind of success again, they might actually be the ones looking at the victory screen today.
Bot lane dominance is something that I think is necessary. Game 1, they gave over Style a bunch of free gold for basically nothing, and it allowed Style to come back into the game, and they could win big team fights, and really that was all that was necessary. This game, because they didn't have that backbone, that was that. Like, they just didn't have any team fighting prowess to be able to work with, so even with everybody else, if they had the gold for it, I don't even know that it would have been an easy win anyway. So maybe in this game, taking a look towards the bot lane, taking a look for our priority towards Style, might be the play here for GAM.
They need to... Varus has always been the number 1 answer for him to neutralize lanes, but of course it's instantly banned away for Wales. They know how exactly GAM works, and of course B was there all the time with Style, so he knows him really well. Honestly, I mean, you could secure the Zarya here to give Style a bit of safety. You could also try and wait and maybe get something like the Jinx later on. Junglers are banned. The good junglers are banned away, I guess. Wukong is not there. You could first pick Lee Sin again, but Cannon seems to be locked in for GAM today. Okay,
they're really on the Cannon. Walking into today, I don't necessarily disagree. Game 1, it got bullied. Game 2, I thought it was pretty well played. It just, again, the Heartsteel build was a little bit awkward. Didn't quite do the damage I think they needed it to inside of those fights. But it's not a bad decision, as it's Vi that gets grabbed up here. Nope, never mind. They're messing around. Could be just the Zyra Khan lock-in for Vit and B.
Hello?
Hello? You alright there?
Nothing is happening on my screen. What?
Oh, really? Nothing's happening at all, or?
Oh, now. That was very weird. It looked like the pick of bands was broken or something, because it wasn't actually lighting up or anything. It looked like they might have gone out. Yeah, this is another good option for Style, actually, because Zeri, of course, he's played it before. He looked really good in Game 1. We know he's very, very strong in the team fights later on, and usually is able to weather the storm of the early game. So I like them going back to the Zeri. Could also once again play the Peel kind of cannon. So picking away the Rakan. Another interesting choice now. How do we punish that? You could actually go steal away Zeri's support here and go Lulu alongside.
No.
I think they could win lane pretty hard with Lulu Zarya if you wanted to go there.
I don't know about that. After that Lulu game from Xin, I don't think anybody can take that champion willingly now. Might be a little bit difficult. I see the value in it because you could do some early damage and cause some strife. They might just wait until later, though, because they do get the Ahri for Glory, which I think is a great pickup. Now they can also defend it if they have specific champions out of the mid lane they don't want Kadi to have. Not that I think there's anything particularly menacing, which is why I'm a little curious about the Ahri pick. If I were them, what I would do is probably double down on banning away, like, top laners, and then like maybe look to defend whatever top lane counter. Or my bad, they already know the top laner. Okay, so I'm confused. Now I'm all confused all over the place. Do they ban supports just to try to pinch? No, because supports already been picked. I'm lost. I don't know what the strategy is here.
So Nocturne is banned once again. It seems that they want to focus the junglers, actually. And with Wukong already banned Nocturne, the fallback options could be Lee Sin, who's still open, surprisingly. Yep, there it is. So Hecarim is once again open. They could just say to GAM, yeah, play your Hecarim again. It didn't work last game. I don't think it's going to work this game. A risky strategy, but better better than the Lee Sin, I'd say. I'm still a little bit puzzled by the Nocturne suddenly just hitting the bench after one very unconvincing performance, in my opinion. But nevertheless, it's taken off the table, so now we're looking at either some AP champions, but it's always awkward to go something like Elise here, or even heavier AP like Karthus, the good old Levi Karthus, if you have a top laner that's AP. But we could go Tristana plus AP in the jungle bit department for Karti and Levi.
Oh, I don't like that. Is it support if they're... I think they're just hovering it, so I would imagine it would have to go to support if that were the case. I do think Galio's super interesting on this patch. Do you know what they did to Galio's like changes with the W?
I don't remember. Please refresh my mind.
Yeah, his W now scales a lot better with AP and things at the beginning of the game, but also gives much better base values. If you max W, you legitimately have just like a few hundred extra health out of nowhere. And if you press W, your resistance is a lot bigger. So he's a brick house in all concerns if you max W. Now, does take away your Q, does take away your E, but ultimately at the support role, when you're trying to deny away from the Rakan, I think that actually makes a decent amount of sense. So if B came to that conclusion, B is a genius. We love B here. We're B fans here.
Yeah, he actually just got first support in League with Takis, and we are all Taki biased, so everyone here also loves B. We do see this at Juani, and they are hovering a lot of top lane champions, so this might be a mid lane cannon, or they might actually transition the Sion into mid lane. I like two melee champs together when you have Sejuani, but this composition is quite strange.
Man, they are... What are the odds that we get Sion mid lane and also Heartsteel Kennen top lane? Just kicking you away. What are the odds we get exactly one damage dealer? You forget.
Tankiest composition of all time.
Oh my goodness. Especially if you go like Titanic on like the Zeri too, and having like, everybody's over 4k health at the end of the game.
Wasn't there this infamous meta in Overwatch where everyone was just playing supports and tanks?
Goats. 3 tanks, 3 healers. Great time. Literally the worst, most unwatchable esport of all recorded human history until the end of its lifespan when people started coming up with counters. Man, a Vayne really would have hit the spot in this game. I really wish we could have seen it, but it will not.
In the end, once again, a little bit of a weird composition. I mean, we know Karti can play all those melee champs, right? He was known for his set back in the day, so the Sion is really not a surprise. We do see more Cassante actually across the globe in the mid lane instead of Sion, but honestly Sion just sits there, cues the wave, and then goes back to his tower, wails a bit because the Ahri is hurting him, but other than that nothing really happens to the Sion, so he should be fine. I don't really know if it's the correct answer to contest against Wales. Today just feels a bit off for GAM. I'm not entirely sure why they have come to this weird conclusion, what is happening in their scrims, that these are the compositions they're coming up with, but they have to win if they want to keep their perfect record.
They do. There's always the value in losing early on in the season so that there's not the risk of losing that record. It's just added pressure that, like, I don't always love having that. Like, if you're an undefeated team and you're walking into playoffs and then you're like, oh man, not only do we have to win to get through playoffs, we have to win to keep our undefeated record. It's just, I don't like having that personally. I think that's a really rough thing to have to carry with you to playoffs. So I don't mind if you take a loss, not on purpose, obviously. And I don't think GAM thinks that either. They're winners. They're a bunch of chads. So it does look like it is going to be the Sion in the mid lane, which is kind of awesome. So we're stepping into game number 3, GAM versus Wales. Wales trying to confirm themselves playoff spots by winning out games here, especially, like we said, an undefensible win. Very unlikely anyone's going to be able to match this pressure.
Once again, the Cho'Gath coming in for Nagi. It was banned in game number 2, and it looked pretty good in game number 1. So once we have the cannon against Cho'Gath again, the cannon, look at his runes. He's looking at that, our favorite build again, so not very likely to go Heartsteel, because I think the Heartsteel is more something you go with Grasp, but he's gonna go for that split-pushing AP kind of style.
Absolutely.
Which worked okay in game 1. He didn't look amazing, but honestly, late-game teamfighting, Ki bought a lot of time for Style, and it's kind of the same 3 champions there, right? It's Style on Zeri and Ki on Kennen. Those two carried the teamfights in the late game, so I'm pretty confident that GAM can once again repeat that kind of success.
You know what I kind of want to see eventually in this one? First off, B, how about the Galio pickup? Gotta love it. He's going to max W, and I love that. Again, B is always the innovator here, so we can appreciate that that's going to come through. Xin got a little... That was a terrible exhaust. I was gonna call it optimistic. I'm just gonna call it terrible. That was a terrible exhaust. Sorry, Xin. I would say it to you if I knew how to say it, if I knew how to communicate to you. That was a really bad exhaust. There was no reason to drop it there. But it doesn't matter because the Galio is not likely to provide a bunch of kill threat anyway. But I eventually want to see Nagia shift into the lane against Kadi. Because Sion into Cho'Gath is miserable. If you're charging Q, you can hit him with a Q, you can hit him with a W, and then it cancels it. And you get nothing for your Q. Out wave clears, out sustains. Like, Cho'Gath is a good champion into Sion. If you need a free lane to, Cho'Gath get a little bit bigger, I think there's also better kill threat for Glory on top of Kennen. It's a lot harder to really lock down Ahri. Here we go, in the mid lane. Flash from Levi, gonna find something, Glory is going to have to flash. It is flash for flash, so there's no Sejuani flash available for another gank like this again in the future, but it's going to burn Glories as well.
Yeah, but Laurie really just has to weather the storm of the next 3 levels. Afterwards, he's ungankable, especially from these 2 champions. Unless he runs into something stupid like Cyan Q into Sejuani Ultimate, he should never die. But of course, now he has to play a little bit more carefully. We'll probably just perma-push with a little bit of jungle cover into teleport reset. Look at this. We saw the exact same thing happening in game number 1. Kiaya trading his HP for wave positioning, and now Nagia has to flash. Oh, the dodge.
Oh. What a stab. Still has to burn the flash, which does suck. But Nagia able to at least maintain the health bar. Although the wave's so far pushed up, it doesn't matter that you hold the health bar. So Nagia might just be in a bad position anyway. As Levi already has more impact in this first couple levels as possible. But he's getting pinched on right now. Flash from Killer Queen. Going to be able to grab the Vi Q on top of Levi. Levi's just going to die. He has no flash. Is that the case? Here's a attempted cutoff from Glory.
No
Blast
way.
Cone's available. Is he going to be able to get out? Q's going to be there. Will it be blocked? It will not. Killer Queen's not going to go crazy. He is instead going to go right for the Wolf Camp. Double wards. Why the double ward? They drop it down just for vision onto Killer Queen, but they're not going to be able to capitalize.
How did he get away?
That is a great question. I don't know how he got out of that. That was about as close as it could come. One auto would have done him in.
Unbelievable. That was so close to disaster. But now Levi's flash is down, and if Killer Queen plays it smartly, I think he's going to try to counter gank, because Levi, he has both of the summoner spells burnt at both solo lanes, so usually you would look at this situation as Levi and say, okay, I need to gank them again, I need to repeat gank and get a kill there. But if Killer Queen reads him correctly, a risky move from Xin. Yeah, but if Killer Queen is there for the counter gank, I think Levi just dies on the spot.
Yeah, I think I agree with you that is certainly the circumstance. All right, I'm trying to take stock of everything that's going on right now because Scuttle Crabs are also getting kind of split between the two. So Killer Queen just gets an absurd advantage over top of Levi in this first early clear. That just will not be respawnable as Levi is just going to double down, triple down. Why out of the ward? I feel like you could have just walked into, I don't know. That was weird. I thought he was going to walk in a lane and just bypass the ward altogether. Instead, he just clears the ward and takes the Scuttle Crab and might go roaming into the enemy jungle.
He's still
He's
here.
Right back. Okay.
Well, B needs
Is
to
it
be
a flash?
careful.
Yes. Almost has exhaust, too, actually. Okay. Nice flash from Vit to make sure he's not going to get punished in any way. Levi is just going to keep jumping in. All right. One stack away from being able to use the E. Levi agrees for it for absolutely no reason. Throws the W out. He's not going to find anything. Damage is too far back. Styles not able to put anything out. Now Killer Queen's on the bottom side. So is Kadi, who outsteps Killer Queen, just dodges that punch. That was a very strange display once again. Seriously, yo, wait, are we literally back in 2020 right now? I feel like we're not watching modern VCS.
It's very strange today, yeah. Everything is opposite day. Well, maybe we just traveled back in time and MBE maybe forward in time because they were so much better. But yeah, it's a very strange game. And as you said earlier, Killer Queen got a huge jungle advantage. Now will profit with the dragon. But we have to also give Levi credit. After a questionable start, he has now ganked 3 lanes and gotten 3 flashes from the carry. So it is rather successful. But here comes Sion.
Yep, Kadi tries to cut off everybody. Over top the wall goes Killer Queen. Levi's going to have to chase him down. He's pretty low health. Now that's the Pog Slide from Style. That is going to net first blood over to Style. I think you take that all day. You get your Zeri out of a bit of a hole from the beginning of the game. You don't get the first dragon, but you don't really care because it's that Chemtech Soul or that Chemtech Drake. So honestly, I think you're chilling right now if you're GAM. That was actually a pretty big win for themselves, getting that first blood onto their main carry.
Yeah, especially with a Vi going down, buys some time for Levi to catch up. very strangely played here from the side of Wales. They instantly call off the fight, so at least they were all on the same page. I'm not sure if the page was the correct one for the assignment, but at least they were all on the same page and instantly decided to never fight this fight. They all disengaged, scattered across the map, and tried to go different ways. Which is fine. I'm more happy to see them be on the same page, but still a little bit confusing to me because it looked like a possible fight. If you dodge the Cyan altar there, I think you can just walk out towards your jungle just fine.
Yeah, it was mostly, I think, Killer Queen got stuck in the pit and had no way out outside of the punch, and he just went, oh yeah, there might not be anybody on the outside, maybe they're trying to wrap around or something, and he can catch them off guard. And also, Levi was kind of low, so like he was a little bit right, that like if it was just Levi there, he probably wins the fight and at least goes 1-for-1, but because of the reinforce from Style fast enough, there was no opportunity for that. So now if I'm Wales, you got your dragon. This is rough. I think Nagia probably not going to go down. This is where I would swap the Ahri with the Cho'Gath, because now you have the commitment to the Leeching Leer from Kiaya, which means he doesn't have the burst damage to match what Ahri is going to be able to do, if he can even get on top of Ahri. And you get better laning for Kiaya, especially because right now Kiaya is down, or Nagia is down about 12 CS to the Kennen at this point. This is where the Kennen's really going to be able to step up the wave pressure. This is where I want to see Nagia get free laning up against the Scion in the mid lane. Just swap the lanes and let them happen.
I don't think it's going to happen, because look at the itemization from Nagia. Yeah. He itemized into MR, which you wouldn't do if you try to swap into Scion matchup. So
not loving that.
I think it's going to stay like this. And Kiaya, this time around, he's actually really punishing Nagia, because in game 1 we talked about Kiaya's lane assignment and it looked like this as well, but actually the CS were even. This time it's not the case. Nagia is very far behind.
Kadi trying to punish Killer Queen. That's a steal of the Rift Herald. Now Killer Queen on the backside of this one tried not to die. Flash. Kiaya ends up flashing for the ultimate and getting absolutely nobody. That's going to be Nagia trying to find the ultimate, and he is going to be able to execute Levi. Well played by Nagia right there. As Glory's here, they're probably going to kill Nagia. Nice flash from Kadi to be able to get over top the Q. I know, it looked like it was invisible, but the Q was there. It was a good flash from Kadi to get him out of dodge. As it is a stolen Rift Herald, and it is more kills over to the side of GAM than it is to the side of Team Flash, or Team Wales, my apologies. Or it's a 1-for-1, I think, with the Rift Herald going over to GAM.
Yeah, definitely a winning play for GAM there. It looks like Wales hasn't really arrived in Game 3, to me. All of their decisions are not as crisp, not as assertive, not as decisive as in Game number 2, where they looked so much better from ahead. But Nagia is just, he thinks about it. You can see it in his movement. He's get back and forth and back and just trying to decide if he wants to commit for this one. As we see Xin just walking around. Very nice. Good replay there.
Yeah. I'm also really worried because now you've got, consider the position you're in. Kiaya is on a tank shredder up against Nagia, who did just pick up a kill. I want to give credit to Nagia. He was able to get an ultimate kill trade 1-for-1, which was at least something to hang your hat on. You have something there, right? But ultimately, it's not going to be a good laning phase against Kennen, who is stacking up a Cole, has all this tank shredding stats. You're never getting a kill on the mid lane as Glory. Already doesn't do it super well in the first place. Should have a Dark Seal because you're never going to die, but you are never getting a kill against the Scion. Scion will just absolutely destroy you in wave control. It's never going to work your way. And then, bot lane's going well because you had Style pick up a kill. Wales doesn't have anywhere near any kind of early presence that they've been banking their first 2 games on, that had such success on in the first couple of games, as Killer Queen. Again, the short Q kind of leads to just a bit of trade damage, and Styles can be able to pick up 2 plates off the back of this Rift Herald drop.
It's just a much cleaner performance for GAM, and now they're looking for Killer Queen, pushing her out of the jungle. I don't think Styles is going to chase far here, but...
Why did Glory just started backing? It's like he wasn't paying attention to Style, just gunning down his jungler. And now Style actually getting an open opportunity to potentially hit Glory some more. Yeah, reinforcements. Nice ult from B to try to deny something. Nice W as well to be able to get something. His Xin is going to go down to Killer Queen.
Wait, Vit?
Tower shot. Now Vit flashing over the wall. Predatory Instincts has to get the response flash out from Style. Not anything super electrifying. Xin going down is just the only thing that they really get out of that circumstance. But man, there was some aggression from Wales. I do appreciate that.
Yeah, another very close call, but this time Wales actually wins in the kill department. They do bleed some gold in the towers. Look at top lane, look at bot lane. That is quite a bit of gold into the solo laners, and especially Kati, who is pretty far behind in CS, is suddenly back in the game with those 2 platings there.
Absolutely.
It's still definitely going GAM's way. The one hope for for Wales, of course, is that they could maybe accelerate the game through the dragon stacking, because they're not too far behind to be unable to fight here, and especially with the cull complete for Vit. He might be sitting on his first item in base.
Okay. Riftmaker is now done for Kennen too, which means that Kennen is perfectly fine anytime he is against Nagia. This is not a lane that you ever want to be in if you're Nagia, because this is going to start to be very, very rough. Now Dragon started up, trying to be denied by GAM. Don't give them that Dragon stacking win condition. No access really to the pit at all. B tries to wrap around from the top side, but they are just going to bail on it. They say, okay, we can't, one Dragon's not going to kill us. It's our stacking that's going to be slowed down, but now Xin might actually get wrecked. He has to bounce out. Thankfully, he was paying attention. Had his, he wasn't caught window shopping there, Yolway. Nothing crazy like that. As back on top side, Kiaya has this Riftmaker, has the Conqueror nearly stacked. I thought he was going to keep going against Nagia right there, but ends up just bailing.
Looks a bit better, this build, I have to admit. Even though the other one was fun, I do favor this one. And as we said earlier, it has 100% win rate so far, the Riftmaker's cannon. So probably the best one available right now, especially with the playstyle of Kiaya, who has played most of the games on this champion too, or especially this build champion combination. But yeah, Wales needs to stabilize their mid game a little bit more. They are hitting some items. Very nice first item for Killer Queen, who is quite strong here. Unfortunately, Nagia is still super far behind the curve. He's not even tanky. Maybe he can get this one.
Flash, ultimate, knock up, silence, ultimate.
Done.
Nagia gets the easy knockdown. As that is a good play for Killer Queen. Mm-hmm.
And of course, kills for the Cho'Gath always count kind of doubly, because free stack, you can't generate those stacks easily, so that's going to be a tankier Cho'Gath than you're supposed to be. And a little bit of a comeback play, only 1k gold behind now for Wales. The game is definitely not over yet.
Not in the slightest. Somehow, Glory has ended up in this lane up against Kadi, and Kadi's starting to put some damage down as, again, Kadi's just too tanky for Glory to really do anything into. It does look like Glory's going to be opting for Liandry's instead of Everfrost. I don't think that the Fiendish Codex built into the Everfrost, so that's a good thing, because I think if you build Everfrost, yes, you might get some value out of rooting the Kennen or rooting like one of the other melee champions, but you're probably not going to get the same level of damage as a Ludens or a Liandry specifically will give you into this level of bulk. So I'm kind of happy that Glory has decided to opt for this build path as opposed to something else where maybe you're not doing as much damage, because especially if Zaya's not really a tank shredder either, so you really desperately need somebody that can do some percentage health damage, and that's where Glory's going to come in with this Liandry's build.
Certainly. I do think they do have options to kite around Kati quite well in the late game. Levi, I think, might be the bigger problem. He is a bit behind in terms of his farm, or at least he used to. He actually caught up to the likes of Killer Queen now, as Killer Queen invested some time to gank. But yeah, 100 CS at 40 minutes is not bad for a jungler, so I lied to you, I'm sorry. But yeah, the Sejuani might be the bigger problem in the late game, because usually Sion, you can kind of work around him. He's a very slow-moving champion. But the Sejuani is much stickier and much more annoying in teamfights.
We're back in winter. Yo, it's happening. We actually did teleport back in time. We're flipping on second Herald. And here we go. GAM is out in front. Kadi is having this. Kiaya's actually got a sick, nasty flank angle with flash readily available. As they're going to kick off the fight right here, right now. Kiaya, can he find the wraparound? Everybody's heading down, and it's not going to be the case. Kadi goes diving into the backline, isn't able to get to Van. Now Kadi just doesn't run back to his own tower.
He's just bait.
They're just going to give up Kadi in exchange for nothing. The Rift Herald was taken in exchange for the one kill, as that is the zombie Scion who's going to get brought down eventually.
Okay, he's acting as bait, but I'm not actually sure if I agree with that decision, because second Herald is not actually that valuable, and he gave another kill over to the Cho'Gath, who was put so far behind, but now is sitting on 3 kill stacks already, so that's going to be an ultra tank Cho'Gath in the late game. So I am not entirely sure if GAM actually took the right decision there to sacrifice their tank for the Herald. They need to accelerate the game now with the Herald actually captured. They might be they could try to set up the next dragon with the Herald in the mid lane, but yeah, I need to see it actually happening, because look at the Cho'Gath now. He's actually sitting on a huge shutdown for this stage of the game.
Yeah, it's pretty massive. Nagia is going to be in a great place in this one. That's actually the one thing I thought that was going to be redeeming here is Glory had so much free time on bottom tower, pulls first turret of the game, which is a bunch of gold into your RA, which feels really great. I really thought what was going to happen is Levi was just going to say, hey, let's go top and let's drop Rift Herald and let's just break top tower, like, as soon as possible. Hey, let's go mid lane. I think Rift Herald just charges and probably kills mid lane in one hit. Doesn't happen. Instead, they just have the Rift Herald pocketed right now, readily available. And yes, you do have damage that's going to go down into bot tower, maybe actually takeable by Scion. Mid lane, you can always drop it. Maybe if you're Levi, try to set up for second dragon. Mountain Dragon's going to be up here in a couple of seconds. Maybe that's the thought. But ultimately, I really do think there's a bit of wasted gold potentially, as they're going to catch up Style in the mid lane with a nice dash in. Big knock-up as well. Wow. Another kill from Nagia as he gets another chomp onto an enemy champion.
Nagia's tanky.
Kiai's going to try to slow them down on the backside, but it's not going to happen as the primary damage dealer of GAM is now dead. Kiai's on the other side of the map with TP, but I don't know that they're going to be able to catch Dragon either now.
Great catch, super good timing from Team Wales, just trying to make something happen before the Dragon. They know they're on the back foot because the enemy team has that Rift Herald in the back pocket, but of course, if you just offset that advantage by killing the enemy ADC, suddenly you are in the better position for the Dragon. And look at the Dragon, it's already going down. They do have to do something about the side lanes though, because both solo laners instantly walked down both of the lanes and are getting some towers back for GAM.
They are. They're doing quite a bit of work here, actually, as that's top tower broken, bottom tower was very close to broken. Dragon is going to go down, but Kadi's actually in a position to look for a fight. Are we looking for a TP? They are going to look for a TP, as that is going to be Kiaya TPing into the back of this fight. I don't know that they have the perfect angle for it, as Kadi's going to go running up and towards Vit. He's going to hit him with a ton of damage! Look at that, Vit has to pop the ultimate against just Kadi in the back line. Rift Herald gets dropped as well, as there's a lot of health missing on a couple of these members. Nagia going to get shut down, potentially. Who's going to get the kill? That's going to be Sejuani grabbing that one up. Now Styles going to be able to force down the mid tower, potentially with a Rift Herald. The assistance of Shirley going to be able to break that one. And now with Glory at half health, Killer Queen down a little bit as well. They could just run it mid lane tower. Wow. GAM find and scavenge a massive win here. Vit's not going to be able to help that much.
Style is super low.
He misses the Q. Isn't going to be able to find anything. Ultimate's going to be able to deliver B into the backline, but Style just kind of slides behind everybody. Now Killer Queen wants to kill, but he doesn't have the damage for it. And now Style can kind of stand forward towards the front of the end of the fight. Can he clean up the remainder here? Glory with a crazy charm, but can't quite hit it. Style just not quite in range. That ultimate tap is going to come through from Levi and bring down Vit, as they can just walk forward again. They don't have the health bar to defend this mid tower. GAM finds another big play.
Yeah, and in the meantime, Kati just took the tower all on his own in the bot lane. GAM once again showing off their understanding of tempo is second to none in the VCS and so much better than all the other teams. The way they just played Team Wales and just forced them to react to different things, and Wales wasn't able to find the correct answer. GAM instantly regroup in mid lane after spreading out to the side, divide and conquer first, and then back snap together in the mid lane to take another advantageous fight. They almost misplay it heavily with Style almost going down there to Killer Queen, but he makes it out and salvages the fight for the side of GAM. It's an even fight, actually. The fight wasn't the winning thing, but all the objectives going over to GAM gives them a 4-5k gold lead out of nowhere.
And actually, that could have been even worse, because a little bit later, probably 2-3 seconds later, had a Q landed on Vit in the midst of that fight by Kiaya, which was thrown at him. Vit was able to kite around it. If that hits him, it kills him, then W resets, and then you also get a kill onto Killer Queen, or my apologies, you probably get a kill onto Glory, and then you get 2 more kills onto your cannon in the midst of that and win the fight, probably push down mid-tower really easily. That would have been game over, almost certainly. So thankfully, Vid able to step around that one and not give over that massive little play to Kiaya in the midst of that big fight. But one way or another, somehow, the team fighting still able to be relied upon by GAM. I know Wales is not out of it by any standard whatsoever, but Style's feeling good. 2-1, has the completed Navori quick blades. You've got Kennen on really big ultimates. Levi is humongous on Sejuani, who's been a massive difference maker for this team in this game so far. And they are the ones kind of controlling things now. And
I love watching Levi on Sejuani and the likes, because so many junglers on the tanks just go with the narrative that's actually not true, where it's like, I'm just utility, I don't need any resources, and then they end up being supports, essentially. They end up just being Nautilus in the jungle position, while Levi keeps farming, he keeps getting items, and late game Sejuani is such a menace in teamfights. It's so hard to get rid of her when she's so tanky, so I love to see him play the tanks, because maybe it's not his favorite playstyle, but he's so good at actually keep on scaling and accelerating, even though it's maybe not the carry champion.
It's not. Now they're kind of infringing upon the territory of Team Wales here. TP actually to try to defend the tower. They've got a wave incoming. I don't know that that's valuable outside of the fact that maybe they're trying to defend the Baron buff. If that's going to be the case, they're going to force into the mid lane. Is that's going to be Xin jumping in, trying to find something. Ultimate in backline, trying to find Style, going to deliver B. Once again, that time it's actually going to come together, and they're going to be able to find the dive onto Style, but they don't kill him. Instead, a bunch of damage dropped. It's still a losing fight right now for GAM. If Kiai have no damage to be able to deliver, Style gets charmed up, has to cleanse to make sure he is out of it, and the health bars are wrecked on both sides. But it's just the one kill. Xin goes down in the midst of everything, and that is it. just the mid tower traded for the 1 kill, you'll win.
And that had no right to be this close. That was such a good counterpunch from Team Wales. They got B's positioning here, and the way he was able to get back into the fight. That's a 4-man knocker, by the way. That should insta-win the fight, and they only get 1 single kill because Style is able to dance around the edges. Look at him. No one is close enough to even contest him. Vit can't really walk forwards because he would die instantly. So it's just Style once again being able to play the Zeri to perfection. Once in this game he got caught in the mid lane, but other than that, just perfect play on the Zeri, game 1 and game 3.
It was wild in the midst of that. Also, somewhere Vit had actually burnt the ultimate, just using it defensively. If it had been paired alongside that B coming down, I feel like that would have been a disgustingly winning fight for Wales, because they locked up Style for such a long time. There was no way to get out of the feathers. There's no way to slide out of the way. Would have just been an instant execute. Kiaya ended up not getting pay dirt on the ultimate, I think, to the level that he wanted to. So, again, GAM just barely eking out little types of escapes from some of the fights that are coming through. But Wales really looking to put it together. Looking at Dragon now, trying to even up the count will be easy enough. It should be quick. See if Wales wants to pursue anything afterwards. They do not. Instead, they're going to look at mid lane. They're going to look at control of the Baron buff maybe as something to work on, but still down 4k advantage. They're actually forcing now on the side of GAM. They're going to find Nagia stuck up in place and nobody's there.
They can't defend him.
The slightest. There's the everything. Zvin goes jumping in. They're going to try to get some kind of healing available for this Cho'Gath.
What is happening?
Cho'Gath's not even dead yet. Big knockups. Nagia's going to go down eventually. Took a lot longer than I thought it was going to. In fact, that's 1 kill. On the side is Killer Queen, I think, looking for something maybe to try to deliver B into the rest of the line on a re-engage. Instead, GAM is going to beeline it over to Baron. We'll see if they're ready to contest.
The enemy jungler used his flash to escape from the fight, but he does have a smite ready, so if you can't keep him out of there, there is always the possibility of the steal for Killer Queen.
Yeah. Yeah, Kadi's still just playing massive defense. Style now going to slide over.
That's a kill already.
Lord was able to find a kill on Zin as Kadi in the midst of everything is also...
Kiaya's coming!
Kiaya's ultimate still going to be big as they're going to bring down Killer Queen. No way. Now it's got to be Vit that carries this one. His score is just too low. B is going to be able to jump into the middle of the team. It's now a 3-for-3. Levi's going to jump over the wall, try to find something. Kiaya's the only one left with any amount of damage, and he's running from Vit right now. Glory's going to try to find something against the Charm, and that's going to be a little bit down. Kiaya's going to go down to Vit. Heroics from the mid laner of Wales to get them right back in the thick of things is a massive team fight win for Wales, gets them in.
Yeah, Team Wales is not ready to give up. Okay, GAM played them on the map. Okay, they got more advantages and gold, but the team fights belong to Team Wales. Look at the kill score. 5 kills ahead. Nagia is huge. Vit is super strong, and now it's on GAM to scramble. They're here. Kati is there, but he's a tank. They can ignore him. They have Nagia ultimate. This should be their Baron.
Should be their Baron. Should be able to execute. Kadi's going to try to jump into Vit. Look how tanky he is. He's not even half health yet. As Zin's try to run him out. Ultimate is used. Zin tries to escape as well. His ally has actually abandoned him, so he can't use the E. So that means Battle Dance not available, but it doesn't matter. As Zin's mobile enough to run away, and they stop the Baron attempt from Team Wales.
But why turn? So many teams turn when they don't have to turn. There was no damage whatsoever coming their way. I don't know. I feel like they should have committed to that one. They have the smite in the Cho'Gath ulti readily available. They just have to ignore the 2 tanks trying to do anything at them for 5-6 seconds, and they get to walk away with the Baron. The safe call, not the call I would have liked, but I guess it's fine because they don't actually lose anything. So we kind of just reset the game back to an even state. Looking at the gold, GAM is actually still ahead in gold, but it's probably not feeling like that in the game.
No. Lord Doms has to be rushed by Vit. Vit has some capability. I think once Infinity Edge is done or Navori is done, that's when Vit's going to start feeling a little bit better about being able to play into all these tanks. So there is a positive there. Zeri is still a ways out from having anything like that to be able to throw Lord Doms into what is like the Vi and the Cho'Gath and everybody. Honestly, everybody's got a bunch of health right now on the side of Team Wales. So, but Runeans is done, so multi-target's going to be there. Just everyone's getting so bulky all at once. I feel like both teams are struggling to try to keep big damage kind of alive, ensuring that Style and Vit are going to be up, ensuring that Glory and Kiaya are going to be up is also really important. That success is going to mean a world of difference for either one of these squads in these big 5-on-5 team fights. As a re-entrance now to the Baron buff pit, taking complete control of is GAM. a minute 30 out from the Dragon. They also have to consider Dragon setup because it's 2-2 right now. And basically, if they don't win the game on the Baron, they have to be worried that the Dragon's going to get traded and a Soul Point's going to be there. There's
the counter engage.
Inside. He's going to go after Style. He's going to deliver B once again and onto the back line. Zin's going to try to disrupt them.
He's alive still.
Now Kiaya with the massive ultimate is going to catch 3. And Style's going to be able to clean up the remainder of the fight. Now Vit tries to get something, but he cannot slide it by the Gale Force, as that was a game-winning play from the top laner of GAM. Kiaya stops everyone in their place, does so much damage, and prevents the assassination of Style. And now, Baron buffs on the board, Dragons on the board, and a 5k gold advantage commanded by GAM.
Yeah, Baron is gonna go down easily. It's a 5-0 ace, actually, and it goes back to the very first game of the day. That wasn't even in this series where we talked about Cannon's roles in team fights, and in style with everything else today, and opposite day. Today, Cannon is not an engaged champ, not a flank champ. Cannon is the defensive tool that defends your ADC from divers, and holy is he good at that, because Kiaya just destroyed everything in that team fight. Just look at Style and where he's positioned. He doesn't have flash here. He is dead to rights after this engage. Everyone lands on Style and he's so far out of... He should be dead at this point, but Kiaya comes in and stuns everyone, puts them together. Amazing play from the whole GAM team, and no one dies at the end.
No. Like I said, everything got spent on Style, and they were maybe a very small distance away from being able to clean that one up. And honestly, Team Wales gave it a hell of an attempt right now. But now, Baron buff, third Dragon, every win condition in the game just toppled over like dominoes to the side of GAM Esports. And off the back of being able to defend their big ADC, off the back of this Kennen pick that has been used so much this series already, 3 picks for Kiaya, making it work out super effectively. And like you have said, the defensive posturing, making it this counterplay maneuver against Team Wales. B wasn't even able to exhaust him. I think it was available in that fight, just wasn't able to use it effectively because the dive was just so far in, as skip a little bit of time distance, but that means that the bottom side inhibitor is going to go down. Mid lane's getting pushed as well. Nobody's able to resound against Cody. The Style should be able to help him take that mid lane inhibitor on top of it. And Team Wales are praying for a miracle so that they do not lose this game, so that they can continue their life in this series.
Problem for Wales is that now the damage discrepancy is just too big. So many big targets on the other team that are hard to cut through. And yes, Vid is going to deal with the tanks if you give him a little bit of time, but it takes too much time right now. And what are Killer Queen and Glory going to do in the meantime? What is B going to do? Their team composition is geared to dive on top of Style, who has his flashback, and last time the cannon devastated your team, so you can't really attempt the same thing again. So what are you going to do? Try to find some time for Vid to slowly cut away at Levi's HP bar, and then Carty steps in and you have to deal with Carty too. It looks very hard to play right now, and we need an overcommitment for GAM. Maybe the change of style for Kennen again. Maybe if Kiaya tries to engage and they can actually focus on Kiaya instead of having to kill the tanks first, there could be an opportunity to turn the game around yet again.
There's a coming problem, though, and that is that not only is a stopwatch completed now for Style, but a Guardian Angel's on the way. Then you have to kill him twice. So if you cannot get him on 1, I don't know how you're going to get him on 2 lives with the rest of the team winning out the remainder of the fight. To me, it feels like they have to kill him without using Vit, and Vit has to just be the kind of clutch factor on the back end of the fight with all of the feathers being available. They're sort of really forcing. They got double cannons, and it's difficult for them to do anything. Nagia gets caught up by Cody, who's... You notice Nagia's down 3 levels right now. I didn't even notice. Style goes into Zonia's in the midst of everything. I don't know if that was a mistake or what. They're still throwing away damage. That's going to be a big ultimate. That's going to be Nagia. B is going to catch a lot of people. A lot of people had to ditch really, really quickly as the tower is still here for the defense. Really, really well positioned by Team Wales.
Well, look at this.
It's the best of their abilities. Now everyone's going down. As Styles able to clean up over top of the wall. Ki was able to pop the ultimate, get 1. Killer Queen's going to look for something, but I don't think they've got anything remaining in a tank, as that's GAM Esports cleaning up the back end of this game. It was so competitive. Okay, maybe we're not quite done yet, but I feel like they've got enough minions in this tower that they should be able to break everything. Glory is the one remaining threat for Style for the most part. Vit is still pretty low health too. That's a TP to keep that 1 minion alive, but it's just out of range of the tower, so they're not able to use it. Now they end the game. Cody stands in front of them, resolute like a suit of armor, as that's going to be it. It was such a competitive series from Wales. They look so good in games 1 and 2, but GAM are our Titans for a reason, and they remain unbeaten at the top of the VCS.
They just can't get over the line. Such a competitive series. Wales once again proved their potential, proved to everyone watching that they are still trying to get there. They want to contest for the title. And even though they're 0-2 against GAM now, like everyone else is going to be as well, if it continues to happen like this, they are not yet done. They are still looking at those players, and they're keeping their eyes on GAM because they want to challenge them later in the best of 5. But for now, GAM goes up to 10-0. Only 4 series remain for all the teams, and they're closer than ever to 14-0. Last year, they actually managed to go that 14-0, the elusive perfect record. And to do it again just a year later would be absolutely amazing.
Especially after swapping B out, because B was such a pivotal part to the team. We really thought that B was like losing it was going to be a problem. So proving that they can do it without one of the better supports in the league would be wild. Take a look at what happened in this game. You can see the damage. I look how much that fit. Look at Vit's numbers. Look at Glory's numbers. They had to do so much more damage in order to win team fights, and it just didn't matter. Think about that. The Scion, the Sejuani, both of them taking up so much damage. It just didn't matter. In the grand scheme, GAM was able to walk away with a pretty big win on the day, getting them up to 10 on the season, keeping them undefeated. They're already locked for playoffs. I think they're basically one series win away from locking first in playoffs too, which is crazy to think about as well, that they're that close to just confirming themselves as the best team in the league before we even get into the 7th week of play. Only GAM is capable of doing that. They're the dynasty here in the VCS for very good reason. You saw it on display again.
Yeah, and before we close out for the day, I want to talk about the aspect that changed. You already teased it with Xin coming in instead of B, and I do think B once again showed us that he's an amazing support player. He looked really, really good here. But also, all credits to Xin, because coming into the season, and especially after all the praise all the players in GAM, all their coaching staff had given B over the course of last year, probably the most dominant year in GAM's history in terms of score lines, I thought, okay, can they really replicate that? We saw them without B at the start of summer. They look kind of lost on the map, especially in the macro sense. And now they show that they're by far the best macro team. They understand map rotations better than anyone else. They understand how to punish positions on the map better than anyone else. And it's all with a new support. And no one thought Xin was a top support, but I think we have to consider him because he's not really making any mistakes. He's just playing super solid League, and you don't notice him being on GAM. And that's not to his detriment. That means he's playing well, because if you don't notice the support, it means he's playing well, and it's a well-oiled machine together with style. A very impressive performance by this new support player for GAM.
Yeah, the fact that they grab up a new player, somebody that we had criticism of. I think Zin's been criticized more than enough in years past. And they're standing up against teams like Cerberus, who've been together for a long time, Saigon Buffalo, who's been together for a long time, and even like the return of SPTC, Wales as well. Team Secret, who has been really competitive over the last couple of years, and none of them are even close yet to beating this team. Again, just it's such a resounding victory for GAM once again. Hopefully this year, getting a chance to represent at MSI. I know that's what they're competing for, and that would be huge because they haven't been there in 4 years, something like 4 years, something. Yeah, 2019 I think was the last time.
No, they didn't even make MSI 2019 because back then GAM was actually pretty bad. They made Worlds 2019, but MSI is. Right. I think back to 2017 probably, because 2018 was EVOS, so it has been such a long time, 6 years since GAM has been to MSI, and back then, the only time they've been to MSI, they actually got super close to knocking out TSM. They scared them in the best of 5, first actual international appearance of Levi, where they took TSM, the legendary 2017 TSM, 5 games, so they are capable of doing it again. This organization, known across the world to be, and feared across the world as well, they are one step closer today to once again reappearing at that MSI stage.
We're still a distance out from that. As we end our week 5, we have week 6 with our, again, an additional 8 matches, and we walk into our last week of play with 10 matches, our super week starting on the 5th, that we still need plenty to clean up right now. GAM is confirmed for playoffs. No other team is confirmed for playoffs.
Crazy over here.
Close after the end of this week. It is absolutely wild. We have currently we have a team at 5-4, 5-5, 4-5, 3-6, 3-6, and then the 7-3 Cerberus, who you saw earlier today, lose to our bottom team in the league. Nothing is set in stone right now outside of GAM making playoffs. So like I said, next few weeks, keep your eyes on the VCS. There's going to be plenty of games to determine all of these wonderful things. I've been Rebel Fox with Yoe. We've had a fantastic day of games, just enjoying it alongside all of you fun, wonderful people. We hope to see you back again next week as we begin to really kind of encroach upon that playoff territory to figure out who is going to be the representative for VCS 2023 at MSI. See you then.